Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, Steve may show up at some point. He asked about what we were doing. I told him about what we were doing, and I didn't hear from him. I know he's also had some other personal stuff going on. He talked about, again, I'm not going to mention that here, but a few other things. So maybe when I get back from vacation, he'll be more and more. But
this summer has been like the summer suck.
It's been rough in general.
Yeah.
And so like, the real shame of that is I had all these sorts of plans of what we would do and what we could do, and just hasn't worked out. I think it's going to get easier once we're back on regular schedules as well, because then some of the insanity that's been going on, not that it'll necessarily be all gone, but more of a regulated schedule helps a lot. Right now, when the schedules are varied, it makes it tough.
Just like a really weird summer. Yeah. Like you would think the summer would be relaxing, but you've seen my personal thing, like what's been going on, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ!
Nothing is ever relaxing. Things are just different levels of difficulty.
Yeah, my kid's healthy. That's all that matters. Yeah. Like at a certain point, I gotta look at the positives. Right, she's healthy and happy.
So, on tonight's episode, the idea is we're going to be starting to go through the Grey Knights. Now, they're a little bit of a smaller faction in terms of the number of units and everything, but I'm under no impression we're going to get through everything, especially when we looked and they do have some legacies and some Imperial Armor units as well. So, we're going to hopefully get about half. This, when you're listening to it, should probably be out when I'm on vacation. And then the following week, we'll start recording again to get the second half in. So for your purposes, it should be across about a total of a week. For our purposes, it's going to be about a week and a half to 2 weeks between all of this. In the meantime, there is actually a battle report that I'm working on for Kill Team. I had to do that. I don't know if I'll get that done before I leave. If not, I'll do it right when I get back. And we have the MCP event coming up as well as a Conquest event. So we do have quite a bit of that stuff coming out. And then maybe when we're back to normal schedules, can get a few other things. Actually ordered some more batteries. So now we can run for essentially full days at a time on everything. All right. All other announcements, all the little bits will be at the end. Otherwise, on to the show. All right. I know you're working on Infinity, but I know not much else has happened.
I'm working
yesterday.
on BattleTech. Working on BattleTech because I have a game on Friday, and I got a new. So you know my big thing. I don't like clan tech, or I don't like clan models. I just use Intersphere.
Sure.
Except for like the Vulture babies one. There are a couple that I use, but it's
you could just play. You could just play Intersphere then.
I do play it, but clan tech is just I don't know. It never fancied me until someone introduced me to this new mech that got redesigned, the Regent, which is like the cross of a hunchback, right?
Yeah.
With a Thunderbolt body, Thunderbolt hands, but like a thick. It's just it looks like everything. It's got shoulder cannons. It's got the thickness of the inner sphere lock. And the reason it's like this is because this is like way in the future of BattleTech. This is like Clan era kind of shit.
Okay.
And so this is when the clans in the inner sphere no longer really have that division of design.
Okay.
So just this chunky model looks like an inner sphere mech, but it is clan. So I was like, screw it. Let me pick it up, see how it looks. And I need to use it now in my game on Friday. It's being used, actually. Let me rephrase that. It is being used on Friday against a person I'm playing, Ernest.
Okay. How many points are you guys doing? It's some ridiculous thing, aren't you?
7,000, okay. Which is the norm.
All right. Some of the discussions sound like it was going quite a bit higher.
He wanted to do 14, and I'm like, Ernest, because he goes, I don't know, like, what the points are for this game.
Yes.
And I go, to give you an idea, 7,000 is like, that's already 3 hours. Like, that's the upper limit of what BattleTech should be played at.
Yes.
Going past that, you're looking at more time, and 14,000 is absolutely an entire day.
Yes. Part of that was in that discussion. People were talking about it, and I don't think they were steering him away from those points because he was mentioning, I have all this. That's like 14,000 points. But like, yeah, that's great. People should have been like, that's great, but you'll never use all of that. Like, only ever think of half or less.
But it's good for like variation. Like,
it's fine for variation. But if someone's telling you, like, hey, here's my force I'm building up, if they're new to it, let them know that you're not going to use all that. You might use half
unless
of
it's
it.
Alpha Strike. Yeah,
but you guys aren't playing Alpha Strike.
Exactly.
Big boy games only. What do I have over here? I have Wolf's Dragoons that I have to paint up one of these days. It's sitting off to the corner. Right now it's propping up some other hobby supplies I have. So,
like I said, the Infinity's on the table. I just washed them today with a garden hose. I know people are like, wait, what? Yeah, one of my friends.
You're very proud of this because you tell everyone this.
Because it's such a weird way to do it, but it was
yes, it is.
Because I used to do it in the
You could wash it in your house.
I know, but I don't want to do it in the sink because the release agents might be poisonous. I
So
got a
you
little
so put them
kid.
into the outdoor instead. Do you think it's less
Yeah,
troublesome there?
the grass will be fine. The planet's fucked anyway.
Where do you think it goes when it goes down your sink? You
No,
think
but
it's
it'll
like
like
a
touch. No, but it'll be like in the actual sink. Like it'll be like the chemicals be in the sink where the dishes are and stuff. And I don't know.
I
Point
don't think you
is,
know how cleaning works.
point is, uh, I washed the Infinity miniature, so they should be actually being painted soon too. And I think I got a good color scheme that I'm going to do for them. I'm going to do like a winter camo, but
Mm,
then I'm going to differentiate the different military houses. No, that's not what they're called. Hospitaller house. Oh, what the fuck?
probably
Military branches.
hospitallers houses, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's Hospitallers, Teutonic Knights. What the hell are those called? Like my history is failing. Not
Uh,
even Infinity, just history. Different night houses.
and
Yeah,
you teach history for a living. Let's keep that in
yeah. This
mind
is,
here.
and I actually teach this history. My brain's not working. Um, so I was going to paint like the different robes, different colors to represent the different houses because for those who don't know the military orders, a lot of the knights look very similar.
Yes.
The differences are sometimes there's a tabard on the chest, or maybe the visor's a slit instead of a cross. It's very minute differences. So by coloring the tabards different colors, that should hopefully like help me, not just my opponent, but just me also differentiate between who is who, because that eventually does become a problem.
For people who don't
Uh,
know Infinity well, a lot of the models look very similar, except for small differences. That's why
yeah,
it's a game you definitely want to get your models painted up as soon as you can because
yep.
that helps tell the difference. Because otherwise, when it's just sheets of metal, it can be very hard to actually tell what is
And
what.
I like it's not even for my opponent; it's actually for me. Because when I was playing against Steve, right,
Yeah.
you actually saw me do it. There was one point where I moved my Hospitaller, but it wasn't my Hospitaller; it was
Yep.
my Santiago with a hacker, and I'm like, he's way too far away where he needs to be. So I told Steve, and he let me move it. But
Yeah.
that's the problem. Like, it's a sheet of metal on the board, so you gotta learn how to kind of differentiate them, and painting them is the easiest way. So yeah,
Yes.
that'll be my next project after I literally paint these two mechs in 5 seconds. Oh, hi, Ami. That's my daughter in the background
Yep.
who just came home.
Did she call? Did she say Dad or Dan? It sounded like she yelled Dan.
I'm not sure. Did you say Dan or Dad, Ami?
Remember, you're in front of a
Dad.
microphone
Okay.
while trying to yell upstairs.
Oh yeah, sorry. She
That's
said
all right.
Dad. She did.
Okay.
I thought she said Dad too. I
I
swear to
thought you
God.
did.
Yeah, and I was like,
I
what?
was like, that's a
Because
little
my
bit old for her just going with like
well,
first
because
names now.
my wife, when she's upset, irate with me, she will literally scream, "Dad!" So I must, so she picks up on that, which is very
Hmm.
funny. Kids do pick up on really interesting things.
They say the darndest things. At least that's what Bill
Oh,
Cosby always
yes,
said.
yes, but they
Yeah,
do
that was
pick
the
up
show.
on literally everything.
Yeah, a child's whole goal when they get old enough is to mimic the adults around because it's what they want to be.
Oh, absolutely.
So, all right. I said I got nothing else going on because this has been 24 hours since we recorded. I just got a bunch of stuff being
Yeah.
printed in the basement. So we'll go ahead and get started. So our goal then tonight is we're gonna go see how far we get through Grey Knights.
Yes.
Listen, the only reason we chose this faction, look behind the curtain. We chose this faction because they're a little bit shorter. Actually, I'll probably put a poll up on Patreon to see
Ooh, that'd be
what
a
to
good
do
idea.
next. I forgot to do that. I wanted to do that, but for what to go with next, and maybe we'll do that as we go through these. But this one I just chose it because they're shorter.
See, I'm gonna be honest. It's just to me, it's they've hit a salty part because they should be good on paper
Well,
by all
we
stretch of the
know there's
imagination.
other problems than just
Yeah.
points. They have other drastic issues, and we'll get through that. I don't mind going through the models or factions that are a bit on the lower end. The ones that are on the higher end, it kind of feels like not necessarily the best idea to discuss them because they're probably going to get the biggest changes. The lower end, there will be some changes, but like small points changes is probably what we're going to see mostly, say for like Grey Knights and all. But whereas like Eldar or Genestealer Cult, we're probably going to see legitimate actual rules differences.
Yes.
So we're trying to avoid anyone who's above that like 60% mark, which I know, at least for some of the local, at least one of the local tournaments, and when I was talking to Rich as well, we said for one of these things, if you really want to make this a fun tournament, hey, anyone with a 60% or better win rate, banned. I know one of the other stores I go to, they did that because they said the first was Eldar and second was Eldar. And third would have been Eldar, but the guy dropped in last round. And they're like, you know what? He's like, for the health of it, this is a fun tournament. It's not meant to find like your standings and how great, wonderful you are. No, just ban all those things. You don't bring them, everyone else has fun.
It's literally only 2 above 60 are Gene Stealer and Eldar. And Custodians took third. I was surprised at that one because the third, fourth, and fifth fight each other. Well, it's literally 56, 55, 55.
Yeah, those are essentially the same numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It's always Custodians. What was the fourth one?
I don't remember the most recent.
I don't remember. But it's just they always like swap places with each other depending on who is. It depends on literally locality. Yeah. So I always find that kind of funny.
Actually, Rich and I were going back and forth of the next one. If it's a doubles, it's going to be. We were back and forth of whether it's 1,000 point each or make it like 900 points each. That way you can't bring your half tournament list or anything like that. That way it's not tournament prep. And required mixed faction. 2 people can't run the same exact detachments, which means you have to mix things.
That's how doubles. Wait, hold on.
In doubles, you're allowed to have the same armies a lot of times in doubles.
Huh.
We were saying.
I always thought it was a house rule that you don't. Or okay.
No, it's never a requirement anywhere. Most places don't require that in their doubles. It's just often a thing. So we said, okay, different detachment requirements, and potentially not 1,000 points each. Might do some other weird points levels. For the individual, we talked about that for the next time we do it. So, like I said, we don't mind talking about some of the lower armies like Grey Knights, and we'll discuss our sort of thoughts on those. But the higher armies we're going to avoid for now. But what's going to happen now is Dan's going to tell us a little about the Grey Knights, and let's see if you do better than when you told us about Space Wolves in 30K. And people hated that because you were really, really wrong about that.
No, stop that.
Yes, you were.
So Grey Knights. Grey Knights, for those who don't know, Grey Knights go back to all the way to Warhammer 30,000. Now, they weren't used at all, but during the invasion of Terra, the Emperor takes spoil. Okay,
it's before the invasion of Terra.
No, I'm not going to spoil it. Is what I'm saying.
Well, the particular, names. But no, this was all before that.
So I'm not going to say names. But he takes a couple of Space Marines who were. Some of them were traitors. Some of them were they were all loyal, but they came from the traitorous legions.
Yeah.
Takes a couple of them, sends them off to the moon of Titan. Yes, Titan's moon. To moon of Titan. And Malkador essentially casts a spell to basically stick Titan in the dead center of the warp. It has its own bubble, so they don't get, of course, they don't get destroyed or anything. But he basically isolates Titan in a warp bubble. So for 10,000 years, Titan's missing. All of a sudden, poof, Titan comes back, and out comes in basically the Grey Knights. And the Grey Knights essentially are... They're the custodians of the... Yeah, they're the demon hunters. They're the custodians of Space Marines.
You don't have... Not everything has to be about custodians. They're not. They are demon hunters. Bananas. It's that simple.
No, they're the demon hunters. They have the best armor, some of the best weapons, some of the best melee weapons that Space Marines can offer. And the big thing about them is that they are all psychically attuned. Mm-hmm. They all have psychic powers, which is a really neat concept because... Some might remember in the Horus Heresy, librarians were illegal. So it's actually very interesting that here's an entire chapter of basically psychic people and their main job is to quite literally fight demons. They're trained to, their whole job is, sadly, the rules don't reflect that. They used to. But that's what their whole thing was, to fight demons. And they're really, really, really good at it. They were at the War of Armageddon when Angron, I don't know if this got retconned or not, though. I'm hoping it didn't because this book I'm going to spoil because it's an old book. But essentially, they were at the War of Armageddon when Angron touched down, and Hyperion, one of the Grey Knights, actually broke Angron's sword with his mind. So it was called the Sword Breaker. They were at multiple different demonic incursions into real space. I'm hoping that the one where they killed the Sisters of Battle was retconned because that was just stupid. But anyway, point is that they are the elite of Space Marines.
Well, I don't know if it says it's stupid because one of the other key features about them is the Imperium works under the conditions that no one knows chaos is a thing.
Yes.
Most, like Imperial Guard, don't even know that there's Chaos Space Marines. Let alone there's actual demons. So usually what happens is the Grey Knights come, they beat back the demons, and then they kill anyone there who saw anything.
Yes.
Partially to make sure no one finds out, but also partially just the knowledge itself is deemed to be corrupting.
That's not why they killed the sisters, though. So the old lore, it wasn't old even. It was like 8th edition. The old lore was they killed the sisters so they could bathe their swords in the blood of the righteous.
Yes.
To kill the demons. And that was kind of...
Well, but
that was Matt Ward.
Yeah, but I mean, still at the end of the day, the way they write this faction is... I know there's other ones where they were with, like, salamanders, people like that. And at the end, they're like, all right, yeah, all these humans have to die now. And they're like, no, we're not going to let you do that. Like, no, we're going to.
The Grey Knights did try to execute the civilians of Armageddon, and the Space Wolves were like, that's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, they're secretive to the point where there's other chapters who don't necessarily even know they exist.
They even know who they are.
The Moon Titan, essentially what happens now, if you were to fly towards it, it sort of has a shield around it that makes you want to go another way. That's actually what it does. So it is there, but just you going towards a psychic presence alone is going to make you want to turn away. So that way people don't find it.
Yep. Also, one of the better looking factions. I love Custodians because of the filigree. Grey Knights have that old school kind of Teutonic knight look to them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And they have the exemplary honor of being the only chapter that has never had a Space Marine fall to chaos.
Very true.
Everyone else has had at least one.
Yep. No Space Marine chapter has ever had not one. Grey Knights are the only one.
Well, we got Steve coming in. Stop. Steve's making his way in. Let me actually pause this. All right. So depending on where exactly I cut that, you can see now that there's a blank box that has Steve's name attached to it. And he has joined us now that he is home. How are you doing, Steve? It's been a while.
It's been a while, and it's been a week. I'm not getting into too many details. It's been kind of stressful.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. So, here to talk some 40K.
All right. We just got through the intro. We obviously could go a lot longer, but we won't for right now. So we're going to go into detachment/army rules. Since there's 3 of us, we'll be able to cycle more. That's always very nice. So for army rules, and part of this, I'm going to say this here at the top. We're going to do our best not to be overly negative. We know they're in a bad place. We know there's problems. We're going to try to not just harp on like, oh, this is a problem. It's always a problem. There's certain things that are going to be problems like the whole time. Their points are a problem. Their points are whacked out. But part of it is we're also going to try to talk about where we see them now, what we see they can do, how can they compete at certain levels, and maybe what would we like to see different rather than just purely points changes. Because, I want to see that.
I'll be honest, Dave. It's honest. The only problem I have is just purely points change.
No, I think they have other issues.
Really?
Yes.
I'm interested in what you have to say.
When we get into it, we'll see if we get to it tonight, but they have other problems.
No, then I would love to. That's okay. Never mind then.
All right, but let's start with their teleport assault. So if you're Grey Knights, makes sense. At the end of your opponent's turn, you can select the number of Grey Knight units from your army that, with this ability, they're essentially everyone's going to have it other than certain vehicles and things like that. You can't be engaged, obviously. The maximum number depends. So in the average game that you're playing, you're looking at 3 units because you're looking at Strike Force, Incursion would be 2, Combat Patrol 1, Onslaught if you're playing big boy games are 4. And once you made a selection, you remove them from the battlefield. In your reinforcement steps, they come back down with the normal rules of outside of 9 and everything like that. We're going to see a lot of the models have the ability to deep strike anyway, so essentially they're deep striking their way down. Now, there's no restriction on how many times they do this.
No.
Yep, they can do this every single turn if they wanted.
Every single turn. It's a very, very powerful ability. Insanely powerful. The ability to not redistribute, Jesus.
Redeploy?
Reposition is what I was going to say.
It's kind of redistributing.
Yeah,
yes,
actually,
redistributing your Grey Knights.
You are correct. The ability to basically redeploy like that is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. Yeah.
I wonder if that's part of the reason why they went kind of crazed on the points, was thinking that this would just be crushing everyone. But it doesn't. In no way does it, let's be honest.
No, it doesn't, sadly. Yeah. But that is a very good ability.
Yes. Yeah, for Space Marine style rules, they have a good one. They don't always. As we'll see when we talk to some of the other chapters. Some of the other chapters, their rules are quite bad, but... All right. let me scroll down. Detachment rule. I'll go through this real fast, and then we can start deviating out who's doing what. When a Grey Knight unit with the Deep Strike ability advances, you don't make a roll. You just go 6. So most of them have Deep Strike. They auto advance 6, and that move, and they can fly. So you can move. You can auto make sure you're going the extra distance, and you're flying. Useful, although flying, you still now have to measure actual up and down by angles and all.
Dumb.
Not nearly as good as it used to be. If this was old fly, it'd be much, much better. Because old fly, you just go past everything.
So dumb.
Yeah. Their army
know
rule
why
is
they
good. Their
changed it.
detachment rule leaves a lot to be desired.
I don't know why they changed it. That's so stupid.
Well, they probably did it because the other one, it's abusability. The current rule is much less abusable because you have to care about the terrain. It's kind of weird if I have a giant terrain feature that some of your models will take multiple turns to get up, but I fly, just walk right over it. So I understand why they did it, but it does hamper quite a bit. All right, that will take us to stratagems. Who wants the first stratagem?
Steve, take it.
I guess I'll take it. That's
Do it.
in a very, very, very long time. So for starting off easy, Radiant Strike. This is part of the Teleport Strike Force Battle Tactics Stratagem. So all the different detachments you have right now, this is available for.
Yep, the only detachment you have right now.
Yep, 100% of the Grey Knight detachments get this rule. So you get to use it in the fight phase. You pick a Grey Knight Psycho unit, which to no one's shock is pretty much any unit that's infantry, and probably at least half the vehicles, if not all.
I think it's almost. I at the top of my head, I can't scroll because I have this up. I can't think of anything that's not.
Like I know,
are the vehicles psyker? Let me scroll down the land.
Forever ago, they
used to be.
Yeah,
that was always a thing they had in the past. Like so I
already
can't
started
scroll right
scrolling
now.
down.
Good.
Here,
Right.
Storm Raven gunship. It is what it has to be. Psyker, you said?
Yeah, be Psyker.
Yep.
So no to the Storm Talon,
Okay.
Storm Raven.
Yeah, so
They
some
got
of the
Storm
vehicles won't
Talons
be.
now?
Yes,
All
everyone
right.
gets a Storm Talon now.
Land Raider, no.
They
What?
opened that shit.
I'm checking I know the Dreadknight, obviously. Dreadknight.
Yeah.
But Dreadnought's got Legend. No, they have a Dreadnought. Dreadnought is Psyker. All right.
Well, that makes sense because that actually
Is a person, yeah.
yeah, for all intents and
was a
purposes.
was
Okay,
a
so they
person.
tend to have less
Okay,
Psychers
okay.
than they used to.
If it has legs, it's a Psyker. I think is the rule for this army. Cool.
Yeah.
So in the fight phase, pick one Grey Knight unit that has legs. And at the end of the phase, melee weapons with the psychic ability also have devastating wounds. Which, I mean, that is a nice perk, but are you rolling enough dice for it to really pay off for
Yes.
2 command
No.
points?
Oh,
Not
2
for
command
2.
points. Oh,
No.
not for 2. I thought it was 1.
Nope.
Yeah, nah.
Nope.
Like at one, it's like absolutely. I'm gonna roll like 10 dice or whatever, and I'm gonna get a bunch of damage through. That 2 command points.
I mean, you're looking
I
at
haven't played much in the new edition. That feels a little steep.
you only
It's not like they
naturally get 1 command point per
turn.
player turn.
Yeah.
So that's a full round. There's other ways to get some more and some ways to get freebies, but let's just go off of you got to spend the money for these things. That's a full round to be able to do that once. I don't think you get enough out of it. And it's melee weapons only. If you could do it with ranged, maybe now might be bad because you got some decent guns on some of these units with a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Side cannons and things like that, but you get nothing. All right. Prognosticate for us, Dan.
What did you call it?
Prognosticate? That's the word.
Prognosticated.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
sorry. I was like,
yeah, that's the past tense.
Yeah,
To do
okay,
the
I was-
action is to prognosticate.
so it's in the movement phase, 1 CP, 1 Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army that is arriving using the Deep Strike or Teleport Assault ability. You can see set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 3 inches horizontally away from enemy models, but you are not eligible to charge that turn. I like this ability. So we've seen this ability with demons. Demons had to specifically be in Shadows of the Warp, and they couldn't charge if it was 3. But we liked it with demons because we said, hey, you could kind of steal an objective from someone. Because even though you're not charging, stick a unit of, I don't know, plague bearers there, be annoying. Same thing here. Without looking at the units, without looking at the points, hypothetically speaking, take a unit of paladins, set them up 3 inches away from someone. Sure, your paladins aren't charging, but like, okay, shoot them. What are you going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
So I like it.
It also helps because in certain cases like this, being within 3 inches means that if I want to get towards that back corner that you blocked out of 9, I can still do it. Because maybe I'm going for table quarters. Maybe I have some other secondary. Since this is an army that whenever they decide to start winning, they're going to win because of the points they can score.
Yes.
You can get into much closer and tougher spots to normally get into to be able to do you some good. Whether it's objectives or just even, like I said, get into that table quarter, get into the opponent's half of the board where they're kind of blocking you out almost. You can't really block out a 3-inch bubble everywhere. You can block out a 9, yes, but you can't block out 3.
Yeah, three's hard.
Yeah, you're realistically, you're just not going to have enough stuff. All right, 1 CP, Death from the Warp. It's in your movement phase. You choose one of your Psycho units that has either advanced or arrived from Deep Strike or Teleport. Until the end of the turn, your ranged weapons have Assault. And each time a model that you makes a hit, get +1 to the hit roll. So normally when you would have problems with shooting, potentially, you get Assault and +1 to hit. We haven't gone through all their weapons yet, but anytime you actually get to shoot or anytime you get to run and shoot is very, very useful. I've used it quite well in some of my Necron warriors, just being able to get up closer and actually be able to take your shots that you need.
Yeah.
All right. Steve actually gets another 2-pointer. Didn't even plan that.
Nope.
Oh boy. All right. So we got Haloed in Soulfire. You're going to use this in your movement phase. And as a big surprise, you use it on Grey Knight Psychers. That's arriving from Deep Strike or Teleport Assault.
The way you said that.
So, until start your next movement phase, you're going to can't be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 12 inches. So it's like a unit-wide sort of...
Lone Operative.
Lone Operative, thank you. Like Lone Hunter, no. Operative.
Yeah, Lone Operative.
I mean, it's got uses. Like, for example, if you have a unit that needs to teleport onto your own backfield objective and not get shot at, you can use it for something like that. But I feel like the things that are teleporting are usually getting closer to the enemy.
Normally, yeah.
Rather than farther than the enemy. From the enemy.
Again, it's just... So, yes,
like, it's a good ability.
Yeah, it's a good ability.
If
it's
your
great for
opponent
protecting your
doesn't
backfield.
have board control.
Or if your opponent has, what are those stupid Space Marine bullshit unit?
But
just name any unit.
No, the Nerf missiles.
Oh my god. Your favorite, the Desolators.
Yeah,
Desolators, yeah. Great protection against Desolators because they will absolutely munch through your unit. But it's 2 CP. Like,
yeah, it's very expensive because, like you said, this is a unit that's deep striking or teleport assaulting in, so they're coming in close to at least some of the enemies, their goal probably. This will save you from the very far away units, but the ones you come in close, it really doesn't. I'm not a huge fan of it for 2 CP, and the fact it's also in your movement phase, because I could see this had been something that would have went very well with the... which is the stratagem that the end of your opponent's phase, because they had something come in, you come in. That one. If you could have done that, I think that could have been really big, but you can't use this in conjunction with it because it's your own movement phase. Nice to have, but nothing too special. I believe this one is yours, Dan? The Mist of Deimos?
Yep. Mist of Deimos. So in your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fall back move, 1 Grey Knight unit from your army that is within 9 inches of that enemy unit, your unit can make a normal 6-inch move as it was your movement phase, or if it has its deep strike ability, it can be placed into strategic reserve. And you cannot select a unit, obviously, that's in engagement range. Why this is not 2 CP and Halo and the Soulfire is 1 is beyond me. This feels like a 2 CP strat. If someone comes up to you or is about to charge you, and you just missed out, you go nope, and you go back to deep strike, or you move away 6 inches. It almost reminds me of, I don't know if you remember Tanglefoot
yes.
from the Custodians. It's like a 6-inch Tanglefoot. If someone's about to charge you and you don't want them to charge you, back up 6 inches. Or even funnier, it doesn't say you have to back up. No. Someone gets close, move 6 inches. Oh my god! Now I control that objective. Now you. Who cares if you charge me? You're not going to want to. But it's 1 CP. I'm not going to complain.
No, it's not 2, because I think at 2 you would honestly just about never use it, because it would be too expensive. Because part of what this can do, you can go back into Deep Strike Reserve essentially, or Strategic Reserves. That's nice, but now I'm not on the board. That unit's not necessarily doing anything until I come in later. So I do think it's good, but I think at 2-point stratagems, I think have to be amazing, because otherwise they just get
suck,
way too tough to use. But I really do think this one is very good, and the idea of moving on to an objective is huge.
Yep.
All right, True Silver Armor for 1 CP. It's your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase when they've selected you as a target. One of your Grey Knight units, doesn't have to be Psycho this time, just a Grey Knight unit from your army, when they've been picked, you worsen the AP by 1. Good. I mean, these guys have very good armor overall.
What is that? Armor of Contempt.
It's essentially Armor of Contempt, yes.
Yeah, I mean...
they just get their own form of it. So
yeah, I got no complaints about it, to be quite honest. Yeah, it works.
All right. That makes that nice and simple. We're going to start getting into some enhancements. Overall, I have to say the stratagems reasonably meh to me. I think maybe that's one of their problems. Their stratagems feel somewhat good, but they got several 2-pointers. Unless they have a lot of ways to get stratagems out for nothing or very cheap.
Or like generate CP?
Yeah. Yes. Or count some things as like no cost and those sort of things. If they don't have those sort of rules in spades, I think it's going to be a little tough.
I would say some of them should be 1 CP. Like,
I didn't see any they had that should be more than 1. I have no problem with any of those being 1 CP.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of dumb.
I mean, you have to give them 2-pointers just to have 2-pointers, right? So, they roll the die, count it down, and it's like, that's the one.
No, not all factions
not everyone
have
does.
2-pointers. Some factions are just littered with 1-pointers.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think some of those could be 2-pointers if they did a little bit more. 2 points is very rough. Like I said, unless they got a lot of freebies here. If they don't got a lot of freebies, it's too much.
Like the shield captain ability. Like,
yes, if they have a lot of those. But even that, kind of get at one sort of thing. If you can do a lot of that, maybe. All right. I think Steve is first to the fray. This is 35 points.
I am first to the fray.
All right.
So this is for a Grey Knight's model with the Deep Strike ability only, which is going to be a good number of
if you got legs.
Yeah, pretty much if you got legs.
Yeah.
Or if you are a plane, I believe. Yeah?
Yes, they would have Deep Strike as well.
Okay. So the Bears unit must have battle in reserves, but neither it nor any transport it's embarked within counts towards any limit the mission places on the number of reserves you can have. If you set the unit can be set up with Deep Strike in the reinforcements up your first, second, or third movement phase, regardless of any mission rules. Essentially, it's ignore the limits on Deep Strike. You get it when you want it. You could get it even if you already filled your cap.
Yeah.
Which, if you build into it, it could be pretty damn useful.
And you get to come in turn 1 if you want.
Yep, and you get to come in turn 1, which is huge.
Oh, you get that early game territory grab? Absolutely. Combo that with the prognosticated arrival.
Yeah, so you can just come in even closer. You don't even have to stay outside of 9.
Someone. Pick a unit that you don't really care about. Like, I mean, your Warlord would be in there, right? But still, like, if you could...
No, that's not to be your Warlord. These can be taken by anyone who essentially isn't a epic hero.
Okay, so, I mean, you could use this to body block someone in the deployment zone for a turn. In theory. And just take away all their turn 1 momentum on some portion of the board. Right?
Yes.
I could see that being a competitive way to do it. Although I don't know how the unit points are, if it's viable to sink the points into doing.
I'm going to help you out here. We were too much.
Yeah. That's one of the big problems. They're a little 2 points twice expensive.
Okay, well then after they move within, their 1 inch limit, then you just put them back in the Deep Strike with the Mists of Deimos. Bam. Except you won't have 2 command points that
No.
are, well,
You'll have none at that point if you're doing it first turn, because you might have spent the
yeah.
one to get within 3.
Yeah. But still,
I think I'm gonna return to this once we've discussed some units to talk about good options for this, because I do think there is some very clever options you can do for first turn assaults and charges and all of that very early. You can definitely get an alpha strike with this. All right, Dan has the next one.
I do. How the hell do you say?
Domina Liber
Liber
Demonica.
Demonica, yes.
Yep, 20
So,
points.
okay, that's what it is. Green models only. Each time the bearer makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And if it's a demon unit, add 1 to the damage characteristic as well. Okay, so ignore the demon thing because that's conditional. Add 1 to the wound roll. Nah. Sorry. That's a miss for me.
If you have a spare 20 and nothing else to do with it,
Sure.
Right now,
Sure.
the big thing is right now, a lot of people take enhancements because you can't spend small points. It's not a thing. You're taking full-size squads. Your war gear is free. When you start having to pay for it, this ability stops being taken. Right now, yeah, I would take it because I probably got 30, 40, 50 points left over. I do in all the lists I build.
All right.
But when I don't, no, I'm not taking it anymore.
The way you say.
Yeah. Sigil of Exigence? Sure. 30 points.
Exigence.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, this one's quite expensive. You have to be Dreadknight, obviously. Once per battle in your opponent's shooting phase, when the bearer's unit is selected as a target of a ranged attack, you can remove that unit from the battlefield and set them up anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 away from an enemy. So you've targeted me. Essentially, I get the deep strike somewhere else. If you're no longer an eligible target, your opponent then can select a new target. So they're going to shoot you. You say nope. You peace out. And then you may either get shot again if eligible. If not, they may target somewhere else. I love the idea of it. I think it fits very well into what they do. I'm not sure if I would use it that much at 30 right now.
30 is way too much. I'll tell you. No.
Yeah.
30 is way too much for me. Way too much.
You're getting a lot of good out of it, or can get a lot of good out of it, but you are spending quite a bit to do that. And you have to have somewhere else that you want to go. And let's face it, your opponent knows this unit has that. If I don't want you to move, like, if he uses that now, the way I've moved, he might be able to set up an objective. Okay, I'm just not going to shoot them then. I'll just charge them or something. This kind of feels like a gotcha, and this is open information in the game. If this was like 8th edition fantasy where your war gear was hidden, I love this.
Yeah, I
because,
love this. Yeah.
Ooh, do I want to shoot this unit? I moved in such a way that you might be able to fit on that objective. You might be able to do this. Or, I know you want to get over that corner, something. Right now, I just don't know if it does that much for you. It's kind of like you'll like that you did it, but I don't know if it's going to be winning you games. All right. Steve has the last one for its whole little bit that it says. This whole 15 points.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right. There's a lot of text this one. All right. Inescapable Wrath. Grey Knight's model only. Add 1 to charge rolls made for the bearer's unit. That's a lot of words. How many points is that?
15. Cheap.
15. That's a good way to fill in the last
15.
couple points in the
For
list.
15 points, add 1 to
It's a
charge.
pretty good way to fill in those last couple points in the list.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Turn those 9-inch deep strike charges into 8-inch. That helps. That helps.
So, like I said, I can't scroll forward because of where I am. Someone look at Dreadknights.
Dreadknight?
Are Dreadknights allowed to take these?
What's the
You need to be a hero.
Dreadknights are. Oh, wait a minute.
You
No, I
can't
was
be
talking
epic
to-
hero, but you need to be a hero.
Yeah, hold on.
Are they heroes?
Where the hell did I just go? They're Dreadknights. So the Dreadknight itself is not a hero,
Okay.
but remember,
much
there's
less
a hero
interested
on the
now.
Grandmaster, though. Hold on.
Grandmaster and a Dreadknight?
In a Nemesis Dreadknight is a character, I'm assuming, right? Not hero.
Yes.
Character.
Yeah, sorry, character.
Yeah. You could take it on a Nemesis with a Grandmaster and a Nemesis Dreadknight.
Okay. I mean, let's face it, he's probably going to be overcosted. I do like it there, or maybe some other spots. It's cheap, at least like he said. Right now, yeah, you're going to have 50, 60 points left over. Take a bunch of this stuff because you have the points.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the first in the fray is probably the best. All right, I think after we scroll past this picture, as always, if you are listening to us on a podcatcher, you do not see it in front of you. But if you're watching us, then I do display all of this up. If GW or a faction, or they put it up for free, whoever it is that we're talking about, I absolutely do show the things as we go along. So, I don't know who wants to start. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if anyone has preferences.
I'll start. Is it Drago?
Okay.
I'll take Drago. Sure.
Oh yeah. There you
It's
go.
Kaldor. It's Kaldor.
That's why I
Drago.
only wrote down his first name, and that's why I said Drago. I'm like, wait, no, Kaldor. Oh yeah.
Kaldor Drago, the man, the myth, the legend.
That
You
is
don't know
true.
his story? Please look it up. It is absolutely hilarious. The memes on this dude. The TLDR is that he's lost in the warp.
Yeah.
Every time the Grey Knights need help, the warp shits him back into reality. He helps them, and then it warps him back into the warp because they're trying to corrupt him, and it doesn't work. He's been just having a gallivant through the warp.
155 points.
100, not
Currently.
bad, actually.
That's expensive for a character right now.
Let's
Let's see what he does, but that's actually expensive for characters.
Yeah, Trajan's 145, actually. All right, so let's see. Maybe he's better than Trajan. Movement 5. All right, so he's already slower.
Okay, don't do direct comparisons. You'll be here all day, and that's a bad idea. Never do direct comparisons.
Movement 5, toughness 5, 2 up save, 7 wounds, leadership 6, OC 1, deep strike and leader, obviously, teleport assault. I'm going to skip teleport assault because they all have it.
Yeah.
Untouchable purity. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the feel no pain 4 up against mortal wounds. Okay, that's excellent right there.
Whoa.
That's great because, that's just great. 1 with the warp. Once for battle, once model units declares a charge, and the same turn it was set up as reinforcements. Using the deep strike ability, add 3 to the charge roll. Whoa. So it's a 6-inch charge. Okay. That's pretty damn good. He's got 2 range weapons, a psychic power, and a storm bolter. Storm bolter is a storm bolter. I'll go over it once, and then hopefully we'll never go over it again.
Yeah.
Storm bolter is rapid fire 2 with 2 shots, so 4 shots in 12, 2 shots at 24. 2s to hit, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. So normal 2-shot rapid fire 2 bolter. The Scourging. It's anti-demon 2+, ignores cover psychic. It is 3 attacks at 18 inches, 2 to hit, 6 strength, -2, 2 damage. I mean, it's okay. It's nice. And then the Titan Sword, anti-demon 2+, psychic, 6 attacks, 2 to hit, strength 8, AP 4, 3 damage. That's a pretty nice profile. Okay. So he's 255 to give the unit, honestly, that's why you take, to give the unit 4 up against mortal wounds. Or 155.
155. Yeah.
155. 155 to give the unit 4 up, feel no pain.
Versus mortal wounds.
3.
That's
Versus
the rest of the,
wounds,
that's the rest of the part you got to say there, because if I don't cause you mortal wounds, you get nothing bonus from that.
And the +3,
which is once per game, and you do have to declare it before you roll. Essentially, when you're declaring the charge. So
I'm gonna make a prediction.
Okay.
That a lot of these are going to be 20 more points more, because I was kind of screwing around with the math and stuff. It seems Fly adds around 20 to 30 points on top of it, the unit, what it should be costed, right? I'm going to assume, and I'm going to make a prediction, that a lot of these, had they been cut by about 20 to 30 points, it'd be a much different discussion. So anyway, he's 155.
He's too much.
Too much. Listen, if he was 135... excellent. If he was 140,
I don't know if he's still excellent at 135.
135, I would take him. 125, 135, I would take him. Absolutely.
He's the perfect example of, niche. If you're fighting demons, he's worth it. If you are fighting someone who does mortal wounds, so if you're fighting Eldar, worth it. If the one with the warp, okay, the charge thing is a nice idea, but that becomes a weird decision because, okay, I have a 7-inch charge. Do I use it then? Maybe. If I have a 5 or 6-inch charge, do I want to use it then just to make sure I don't miss it? How many times have we rolled double ones on charges? It's only 6-inch charge.
Deep strike.
So
it's going to be 6-inch.
Only,
charge.
I was gonna say it's
Yeah. So okay. So sorry. So in that, well, you technically could be at 3 if you use the one stratagem.
But
Otherwise, I
you
guess
can't
you're at 9.
charge with that stratagem.
You're right. Okay. So you're right. So okay. So you're looking at 9. So you're giving yourself 6 inch charges. But you do have the
if
ability
you
to
could
come down
stick him in a
multiple
unit,
times with this.
yeah, and if you stick him in a unit with an ancient, because I'm sure they have ancients in here, right? And the ancient has the +1 bonus.
They have grandmasters and brother captains and stuff.
They don't have ancients? They don't have any flag dudes? They have to have a flag dude.
Not with the way they call them, at least. I say Dan can scroll down, see if anyone has anything like that, but I don't see it.
Like the lieutenant is what you're asking for.
Like a lieutenant,
someone that gives a +1 to charge as a hero.
Just a secondary character that you could give the 15-point relic to.
That can join the unit with Drago.
Yeah.
I hate to break. Oh wait, Brother Cap. No, Brother Captain's an actual.
They don't have like just a flag dude, but there's one in the kit.
There's a Brotherhood Champion. Wait, Brotherhood Champion. What does it have to be? It has to be called Lieutenant or something.
No,
or leader.
Like, it'll have a special rule that says
their rule will tell you that who they can go with, and they'll be able to go in. Like if you look at him, he's a leader of Brother Terminator squads and Paladin squads. Under that, under the leader, it will tell you, oh yeah, and you don't count. You can go in with a unit with someone else.
Chaplain? Nope. So no, I don't find anything. I went all the way down to Chaplain. They got no lieutenants.
Wow, yeah. So that means they don't have the ancients either. So
no,
they have a really awesome banner model and nothing to show for it.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Steve, you're going to hate this even more because when we get to the weapons,
the Paladin Squad can just have a banner.
Yes.
Also, you're going to hate this a lot more because when we talk about their weapons, they don't have thunder hammers or swords or spears anymore. Now it's just Nemesis weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, that same happened to Vanguard veterans and Tyranid warriors.
Exactly. So I was going to say,
I forgot that that's when they deep strike in, and this is an army where you can deep strike multiple times, but that plus they're okay. So you got a better charge that one time. He's definitely too expensive for what he does. And the fact that you don't have some of those support elements like we talked about means that that squad that you're kind of beefing out doesn't get nearly as beefy as you want. Yeah, he's probably about 20, 30 points too high. Yeah, make him 125. I'm much happier with him. Because again, if I'm fighting demons, I'm happy with him. If you got a bunch of mortals, I'm happy with him. If you don't have those things, I get an ability that happens once that's kind of cool. His weapon is decent, but character weapons tend to be decent anyway.
Exactly.
You know. All right. He's fine. I think that's what we're going to say for a lot of this. Do you want the next named guy, Steve, or do you want when we lose names and we get much more generic?
I mean, I prefer generic, but that's far away. So
no. The next one is more generic. Grandmasters are, to me, they're more generic because that they don't have an extra name attached.
This is the name. This is the named one.
This is the named one. So I can take the named one. Then you can go to the more general one.
There's one right after him.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep. So this is Grandmaster Voldus. He's 115, so he's nice and cheap. Move 5, that's going to be common for what we see. Same thing as 2-up saves. These guys are essentially Terminators. 5 toughness. He's got 6 wounds, 6 leadership. He's grabbed 1 objective for you. Again, we're not going to mention deep strike or teleport assault unless it ever changes. It will change maybe in the future. It doesn't now. He has Sanctuary, Psychic. While this model's leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Very, very good. It doesn't say shooting. It doesn't say melee. It's all the time. So that's absolutely amazing. Hammer of Flame. Each time this model's unit is selected to fight, you can select one enemy unit within engagement range of this model's unit and roll a d6, adding 2 if they happen to be a demon. 4 to 5, they take d3 mortals. On a 6 or more, d3 plus 3. So when you select them to fight, if someone else is close, on a 4-up, so 50% of the time, not counting if they're demon, you get to put some mortals on people. He, of course, has a 4-up invul. They're Terminators. That's going to be very common. He's got a Stormbolter, or he has a Malleus Agrim. Psychic weapon. It's 5 attacks. Of course, it's on 2s. Strength 10, AP minus 2, 3 damage. I like this guy so much more. He's 40 points cheaper. His abilities will always help you Because minus one to hit, to me, I care about a lot more than a 4 versus mortals, because not everyone dishes out mortals. And it's one unit. If that unit dishes mortals, I'll fire somewhere else. A Hammer of Flame is a nice way for you to get some mortals in. His weapon is actually a higher strength. I like him a lot more for a lot less points.
Gotta agree.
He leads the same type of units, Brotherhood Terminators or Paladins. So it's not like he's even leading so weirdly different that you couldn't have taken, you need him for one type of unit, the other guy for another type of unit, Drago for another one. So Voldus to me, Drago used to be an auto-include. Voldus to me kind of almost feels like they're auto-include for the moment from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Like, he might not truly be an auto-include, but like his abilities just feel like they do more for you. Drago can be more influential.
-1 to hit
Yes.
a big deal.
Yeah. Like Drago could be more influential for what you're doing, but it won't always work. Voldus's abilities will always work for you. You'll always be happy with -1 to hit and potentially get mortals on people. All right. Why don't you take us through the first of these Grandmasters, who's 115 points as well. He's as much as Voldus.
The generic version. All right. So we have... Is this basically the same stat line? Oh, wow, he has more wounds. Okay.
Yes.
So we got movement 5, toughness 5, 2 up save, 7 wounds, leadership 6, and 1 objective capturing power. So we gain an extra wound over the named character, which is an interesting development. For ranged weapons, we are going to come stock with the Stormbolter and Force Weapon, but we're going to have a whole bunch of options coming up for them. He's an infantry character, a psyker. He's got grenades, Terminator, Imperium, Grandmaster. No surprises in there. He's got Deep Strike Leader. He leads the same units, the Terminator Squads and the Paladins.
Yep.
And for special rules, he has the Might of Purity, which is a psychic. While he's leading a unit, you can ignore any and all modifiers to the characteristics of models, and to any roller test made from what's in that unit, excluding modifiers to saving throws.
Yep.
Okay. And then he is also a Master Strategist. Once per battle, you are this ability to be targeted by a stratagem for 0 CP, even if it's already been targeted by that stratagem this phase. So that's a good way to get your 2 command point things to actually be worth something, because they'll be worth 0. It seems like a fairly standard ability to see. And it's never bad. 4 up invul seems about right. For ranged weapons, we could switch out that stock Stormbolter with an Incinerator, a Silencer, or a Psy Cannon. So of these options, you have the Stormbolter, which is Rapid Fire 2, Range 24, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 2, strength 4. It's a Stormbolter.
Yeah, it's a Stormbolter. We don't have to say it yet.
For the Incinerator, it's a heavy flamer, but cooler. Ignores cover and torrent, range 12, d6 attacks. Who needs BS? Strength 6, AP -1, damage 1. Nothing crazy special to write home about there. Silencer, this one's psychic. Sustained hits 1. Range 24, 6 attacks hitting on 2s. Strength 5, damage 1. No AP. And then finally, we have the Psy Cannon, which is a classic. It is a psychic weapon, range 24, 3 attacks hitting on 2s. Oh, it is strength 8 nowadays with an AP of -1 and damage 2. Cannon is absolutely a appropriate term to describe that weapon.
It's like the old Cybolt ammunition rule. You used to have to pay for it, but then you got more strength.
Yep. But it didn't go from like 4 to 5 or like 5 to 6 back in the day. Strength 8's that's beefy.
Yeah. Strength 8 with some AP and 2 base damage means you actually are hurting marine equivalents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The other thing we probably actually from here on out we'll have to probably do, we'll probably only mention ballistic skill when it's not 2s. Again, these guys are Terminators. It's all like 2s.
That's fair. That's fair.
We'll see at some points when it's not, but for quite a while it's just 2s.
Yeah, speaking of things that hit on 2s, we have generic Nemesis Force Weapon, Psychic. 5 attacks, It hits on 2s.
Yep.
Strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. A nice generic all-around weapon, rolling a nice number of dice. With decent strength in AP. I mean, you'll pulp guardsmen all day.
Like most things do.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm kind of surprised it doesn't have anti-demon anything, but...
Oh, so as we go through, you're going to find most of the army does it.
Honestly, I'm glad, from a game design standpoint, I'm kind of glad, because when you have an army that specializes in killing one army, it leads to very unbalanced gameplay.
Yes. It's not very fun, especially if they happen to pay any points whatsoever or have any sort of downgrade because, we're really good versus one army.
I forget what it was. In some game edition, some faction got a bonus, but also gave a bonus, right? I think it was 8th or 9th edition Iron Warriors got a bonus against Imperial Fists, but then gave the Imperial Fists a bonus in kind.
Eldar at one point used to do the same thing with like Sinesh. They used to get a bonus, but they took a negative as well. There's a few times GW has done that across the years.
Yeah, that would have been a cool thing to see, but this is not at all like a wrong approach to solving the balance issue. By just not letting it be a balance issue. Like I said, he leads Terminators. They're Paladins or just Brotherhood Terminators. I don't think there's anything too special to write about with this one.
He's the first character now who can take one of those upgrades or the enhancements that we saw. So if you want enhancements, I think you take this guy. Having one is useful because that once per battle 0 CP stratagem is very nice. It is only once per battle, and it's one unit with this ability, so taking more doesn't do any good. So depending on heroes, if I'm taking a few, I might take this guy, and I might take Voldus for my other one, because I do want Voldus. Though if I want enhancements, I'm going to need someone generic. So, there's nothing wrong with him. He seems fine. He's probably about the right points cost compared to this similar of what you see for other characters that do very similar things. Just the rest of the army might be a little bit too much. All right. I believe this goes to Dan then, who is muted currently. Just so he knows.
There we go.
There you go.
Nemesis Dreadknight.
The Grandmaster in one.
Grandmaster Nemesis Dreadknight. Apologies.
This is the chunky Grandmaster.
Yes.
Yeah, this is
245.
Really?
He's 30 points more than a basic Dreadknight. Basic Dreadknight's 215.
That's neither of those points. All right. Anyway.
You just don't like the baby Bjorn.
I really don't. I hate this mod with such an undying passion. Movement 8, toughness 8, 2 up save, 13 wounds, 6 leadership, 4 OC. Yeah, 4 OC is actually not bad. All right. He has a Surge of Wrath, which is once per battle round in the fight phase. One model from your army, with this ability can use it before resolving its attacks. If it does, until the end of the phase, each time that model makes an attack that target a monster or vehicle, you can reroll hit rolls. And you can reroll wound rolls, and you can reroll the damage roll. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, reroll everything.
Why okay, you can reroll hit rolls, wound rolls, and damage rolls. All right, that's great. I like that. Sadly, it's against bosses and vehicles, but yeah, no, that's still cool. I like it. Heroism's favor. Each time you target this model with a stratagem, it only costs 1 CP to use, even if the CP cost is high. Okay. GW. Okay, I'm gonna be angry on 2 different fronts for 2 different reasons. Boy. All right. Let's talk about the first reason I'm angry. Why did they just give him the 0 CP strat?
Because a lot of times it's each time. The 0 CP strats are usually once per turn or round or something like that. Because he can always do this.
So here's the other fun fact. If you vect the stratagem, right, it'll still be 2 CP. Because the modification happens after the higher. Or actually does it?
No, I would say this supersedes because it says even if the cost is higher, the vectability makes the cost higher.
Yeah.
Where if the vectability said once you must pay a CP before you can buy a stratagem kind of thing, then yes. But this says no, whatever the cost is, it's 1. So I would say it makes it what it keeps it as 1 no matter what for him. They need the help. Just let him have it.
Please. Yeah, well, I would not even argue that, by the way. I'm just thinking in my head that that's what someone would say. Um, okay. Less angry.
Such a glowing endorsement.
Less angry, glares at screen.
Glares at screen, less angry. So it's just, I don't know why they do this. All right, but let's talk about his weapons. Anyway, moving on. So he has, we haven't talked about these yet. So he's got a Gatling silencer, 24 inches. Sustained hits 1, 12 attacks, hits on 3s. Oh yeah, this is the one that the other salty moment. None of these hit on 2s.
Yes,
hits
and
on
that's
3s.
what's weird for still being a grandmaster.
I just realized that was the other salty moment. Hits on 3, strength 6,
it's
AP 0,
Nexu.
damage 1. No, he hits like shooting it on 2s. Why
Yes.
is he hitting on 3s? Heavy Incinerator. This is a 2d6 flamer, so ignores cover torrent. Strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. And the Heavy Side Cannon is 6 shots, 80 on 3, strength 10, AP 1, 3 damage. That's a really good gun right there. I believe you could take 2 of them, but cannot take duplicates. Yep. All right. So you could take 2 of these, but just don't duplicate it. I think you would probably take the silencer and the side cannon. That's always been an old school combo that works. Then you have the melee fists. You could have dread fists, which are 6 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. You can have a Nemesis Demon Great Hammer, which is 5 attacks for some odd reason is hitting on 4s.
They're giving
Dan,
okay.
Would you feel better if I told you that he's 1 point better than the generic version?
Strength 14, AP
I would
3,
be lying if I
1
told
damage.
you that. I'd be lying. It wouldn't make you feel better.
If he's going against what is it? A vehicle or monster, he can just reroll all of that.
Yeah, but some armies have access to -1. So now you're hitting me on 5s. And that's just
true.
Moving on. Great sword. You get 5 or 10 attacks, so it's like basically a strike or a sweep. Both hit on 3s, 10 attacks for 5 attacks. AP 2, AP 1, D6 damage, 1 damage. I'm also laughing at the fact that these are psychic weapons because there are some armies that if you hit with a psychic melee weapon, they get a ward save. Invulnerable save against it. So thoughts. Okay. We're not going to be negative about this.
No, we could be a little negative.
Negative. Okay, we could be a little bit negative.
Here's the thing: we can't be overly negative on everything because we'll be negative on everything otherwise.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
I love everything about him. Why is he hitting on 3s? That makes 0 absolute sense.
Life hack: run the incinerator, and then you'll hit on 0s.
That's not okay. But like, why is he hitting on 3s? I don't.
You take 2 ranged weapons though, so you have an incinerator and something else.
You don't have to. It's a choice. You come stock
only
with
take
no
the
ranged
incinerator.
weapons. You may take up to 2, not duplicating. So just take 1 incinerator, nothing else. Who cares that it costs you no
that you're
points
leaving
to
things
add
on the board.
Gun.
Yeah, leaving things on the board.
Who cares? Just play down points and hit automatically.
Yeah, the army with like a 30% win rate. Play down.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
His easiest fix: make it on 2s, and then I think he's fine for his points.
Yeah, I agree.
Because his rerolls won't always come into play because you're not always fighting monsters and vehicles. If his rerolls was always, even then, I'd probably actually be okay with him a lot more. And his heroism favor, 0 CP is nicer, but 1 CP always is pretty good because there is some other base stratagems that are 2 CP, not even just their own. So interrupting's normally 2, making it 1 means this guy can interrupt very easily.
Yeah,
so
true.
This guy's job is supposed to be to find the big bad, the physically big bad enemy model and fight it.
Yes.
Like lore-wise, it's like, oh shit, they got a greater demon here. Let's get the, release the Dreadknight. So it makes sense that it gets bonuses when fighting the big stuff.
So as someone
and
who
I
has
guess to
faced
keep
this,
it from being too much,
no.
They make the base stats not great.
Steve, have faced this with my greater demons. I've actually faced this army with my demons. It does not work. because they hit on 4s.
Why are you holding the mic stand? Because it makes
I don't
sound
know.
because you're moving it around while you do it.
Dan needs
I
stability right now.
Yeah,
Just recounting
I need stability in my
the
life.
horror
I faced
of
against Grey Knights with my Greater Demon list, and he double charged my Greater Demons with 2 Dreadknights, and they did not kill it because they hit on 4s. It's just it because sure you can reroll the hits, right? You can reroll the hits. But the stuff they're going to hit, those big boy demons, are going to have invulnerable saves, sometimes even a 4-up. So sure, let's do the very, very quick math. You get 5 attacks, re-rolling 4-ups. Let's say I don't even give you a -1, which some demons do, by the way, but whatever. Re-rollable 4-ups. You're going to hit 4 times. No, 3. No, 4.
You should still be in the 4s. Let's go with
4s,
round
yeah,
numbers, so it should still be in the 4.
Yeah, 4. You're going to wound on 3s. So that's now down to 3.
Between the two, with the numbers between, it's about 4 when it's all said and done, because it's going to be more than 4, and then you're going to lose a little bit. So you should have about 4 go in.
So I'm going to save 2. That's 2d6 plus 2 damage. That doesn't kill a demon. That doesn't kill a greater demon.
Well, no, because they're like, how many wounds were they again? Like 20?
20.
Yeah. Well, even if you do perfect or not. Now,
I swing back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kill him in a single swing.
Well,
and I'm less points.
Yeah.
Or almost the same points.
But if he charges a rhino, that rhino is not seeing the next day.
Oh no. Oh no. But that's my problem with this. Like, you want him to go against the big bads, but he hits. Now, if he hit on 2s and 3s, now we talking completely different. Now we talking completely different math. Now I'm scared.
Hey, honestly, no. The math, it went with the reroll on that, with just the 5 attacks, the math is actually very, very little bit different. Now, the swing is wider, but on average, the difference is going to be reasonably low. If he was like 10 attacks, now you're getting a big difference. But on 5, with that reroll,
it's plus or minus a die.
Yeah, you're not looking at a giant difference. The biggest problem, like you said, he has good AP, but if you have invul saves, then you don't matter. Now, if that player rolls bad invul,
damage value should be boosted a little bit.
For only 5 attacks on 4s, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he should be like, like a D3 plus 1 or D3 plus 2 instead of D6. I mean, it's just a general problem of D6 damage weapons, right? They swing so wildly that either you are absolutely nuking something that you don't need that much damage on, or you're rolling damage you don't even notice on something that could take it.
And one of the other things I think, because to me this is one of the problems I have in this army, high damage weapons is something they lack a lot of. We're going to see some spots, but it's not like in the past where they had a lot of those, because now toughnesses in the game, especially for vehicles, all have went up. So their average units are going to greatly struggle. This is a weapon that can do it, but I don't think it outputs enough. We're going to see a lot of the other things. I've watched it played, where a lot of the other units just lack a little bit there. So this guy has it, but I don't know if you get enough out of it. All right. Yeah, make him hit on 2s, and then I think he's better all around. He's probably reasonably appropriate then. And then the Great Hammer, would feel a little better. That's why I didn't put the K in Dreadknight. There we go. My notes were yelling at me. I wasn't sure why they were yelling at me.
If you brought this guy anyway, what enhancement would you give it, if any?
Ooh, yeah, we gotta put something on him. The problem
plus 1 to wound and plus 1 damage helps. Doesn't fix it, but it helps.
That does do a lot, because now, if you are assuming 2s. He's targeting the big things, you're looking at 2s for a lot of them. Oh, well, that's only if it's a demon, so specifically demons. Yeah. But otherwise, the plus 1 on the wound. The damage part is fine, and 20 points, that's one of the cheaper ones, so probably that one. The Sigil of Exigence, I don't think is needed. and it's kind of way too expensive. +1 to charge isn't bad either if you only have 15 points instead of 20, but I would try to save the 20 and get +1 to wound, because this guy's going to be hunting things that I'm not wounding on 2s naturally.
Yeah.
I'm hunting that toughness 9s and 10s and all.
So probably the Liber Demonica.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly what I would take. And if you happen to then go against demons, now he's much more likely to actually take out those greater demons. So
it's still disclaimer, it is still not likely, but it's more likely.
Yeah.
Because D6 +2, that's getting somewhere a little more reliable, where it's a minimum 3, average of like 5-ish.
Yes. And you're more likely to get everything, all your wounds in, because now you're probably wounding most things on 2s. 2s rerolling, you should have all.
Yeah. And then it's just that awful, it's the hitting on a 4 that makes that part rough.
It's very rough.
And there's no strat to boost that.
No. Not that they have. All right. I think that's to me then for Crow, if I'm counting this right. Dan started.
Yep. No, you're right. It's Crow.
It's to me. Well, no, I know it's Crow. It's just me checking who actually has it. Castellan Crowe, 95 points for this little man. He is a move 6. He's toughness 4, but still 2-up save. That's going to be common. They're either Terminators or Artificer style armors. 4-up invul, of course. He's 5 wounds, leadership 6. He's only grabbing 1 objective for you. He's a champion of the Order of Purifiers. While this model's leading a unit, you add 1 to the attack characteristics of the unit's Purifying Flame. He obviously leads Purifiers. He's the exemplar for Purifiers. Foresight of the Prognosticars. Once per turn, the first time a saving throw has failed for this model, you change its damage characteristic to 0. Sounds nice. Not as useful unless people are precisioning you out or your entire unit's gone anyway. So it's like, sounds cool, but it's not for the unit. It's him.
Yeah.
If it was the unit, I'd love it a lot more, but it's just him.
Great if you're facing like snipers.
Yes. Oh, there's definitely small niche cases where that's nice. But like, I like my abilities just to kind of like be on. I'm paying points for this dude. I just want him to do a little bit of something at all times. For his ranged weapons, he obviously has a Stormbolter. He also has his Purifying Flame, which is his psychic attack. Anti-infantry 2-up and ignores cover. There's 3 shots, strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. Obviously, this guy hits on 2s because he's not in a Dreadknight. He's got Stormbolter, of course. And his melee weapons is the Black Blade of Antwer. It has devastating wounds and precision. So he's actually good at fighting other characters. He's got 5 attacks. He's strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage. Is a Purifier weapon is a D6 or is it a flat number of attacks?
I will tell you right now. Purifiers scrolling down. Oh my God, there's still so many entries.
Yeah, we're not going through them all. Purifier. What is it?
Oh, that's Dreadknight Strike Squad.
Purifying.
Paladin.
So Purifying Flame. It's their psychic attack, which is 1. They get 1 shot at it. Wait, is that all it does?
Yeah, so they get 2 shots now. Oh, but it's anti-infantry 2+.
Yeah, but that just means I auto wound on that. I don't even cause mortals. I just wound you.
I thought he was a lot cooler.
Yep. I was thinking it was related to their incinerator.
Shooting output.
Yes, from 1 to 2. In my mind, I read that and I thought Purifying Flame, not like his Purifying Flame. I just assumed it was like essentially the incinerators.
Hold on. If you spend 2 CP, doesn't that give them devastating wounds on that?
Yes.
It's not better, but like
no, it's simple. It is better if you're willing to do all that. It's absolutely better for sure. Was that a 2 CP one?
It was.
Yeah. It's 2 CP for that one.
Yeah.
I think you're just chasing one thing with another to do that. Yes, that is absolutely an option. That's actually probably a pretty good option if I had the points. If you're already somewhat points-wise expensive.
Reduce the cost or something.
Yeah. Or if the units in general weren't as much as they were, I think that could be good. Because I do think that's a play you can do. Because his Purifying Flame then goes to 4. You could get a lot. maybe that's what you do. If you somehow have points to burn, CP to burn, that is your option, and that is an option I do like overall. I just don't know if I want to take him for that. I don't know if I get quite enough out of it. When we get to Purifiers, we'll talk about it. How the points are on Purifiers. 150 for 5, 300 for 10. I think together, I think it's just a little too much.
I see a common theme here.
Yeah. They have Purifying Flame and Stormbolter's base, and then you can swap out to some other weapons. It's 2 weapons in every 5. It might be worth some play. I don't think this is an army where I want to take tons and tons of characters, but that might be worth some play. If you're taking I would take it only in a big unit of Purifiers, and I'm putting a lot of points into this, and they're probably, teleporting in or deep striking in to do all this. Overall, I like him. I don't know if he would fit my list. We should probably what we should do when these are all said and done is make lists for some, especially these lower ones, to see like what our thoughts are about making something actually work. So, I don't know. All right. When we get to Purifiers, I have more thoughts on them. Right now, I'm not sure. I don't know if I would want him. All right. Steve has Brother Captain Stern.
Oh, yeah. Wait, this guy's still around?
Yes.
I'm shocked.
Isn't Stern...
Okay.
Oh, wait, spoiler. Isn't Stern an actual perpetual? Is this the guy who's perpetual or not? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know he's
One of the
110
Grey Knights-
points.
Well, I know one of the Grey Knights is an actual perpetual. He can't die. I think it's him, or does it give you the lore on him? Let me see.
They talk about how he survived such horrible, crazy battles.
Yeah, I think this is him. I think he's one of the perpetuals.
All right.
Well, I don't see it in his keyword, so I don't know, Dan. I don't know. So
yeah, they haven't put that keyword into the game yet. Perpetual.
When they re-release Vulcan, they will. Don't worry. All right, so we got Brother Captain Stern, movement 5, toughness 5, save 2, wound 6. Again, the generic dude. Generic. No, it's only Brother Captain. Wound 6, leadership 6, OC 1. He's got a Stormbolter, perfectly standard Stormbolter, and Nemesis Force Sword. He's got 5 attacks, strength 6. It's a standard Force Sword. He's got Deep Strike and Leader. He teleport assaults. He is the exemplar of the Silvered Host. While this one is leading a unit, each time while that unit makes a melee attack on a critical wound, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. Hey, that's not so bad.
Okay, that's actually not bad.
And then we have Strands of Fate, which is a psychic. The first time this model is destroyed, roll 1d6 at the end of the phase.
Yep,
on
there
a
it is.
2-up, set this model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of any enemy units, with its full wounds remaining.
Yep, he's the perpetual. That's hilarious. So,
And
okay,
got a 4-up invul.
bonus points for them keeping the fluff.
You could join the 2 Terminators, the Brother Terminators and the Paladins.
Yeah, he is a Terminator himself.
Yep. And I think that's still his model from 3rd edition, right? Or 3rd edition.
Yes, if you look at that face is a little wonky.
A little?
I'm trying to be nice.
Hey man, the transition to Fine Cast has its effect on people.
Yeah, warping. Does anyone like this guy?
I like him. Giving critical, what is it? Critical wounds? Yeah, critical wounds. The ability to do mortal wounds. Okay, now we're talking. And they do get a ton of attacks. So, how many points is he again?
110. 110.
Oh, okay, he's cheap. I like him. I like him for just being able to toss out mortal wounds.
You're looking at about 4 attacks per guy.
And you take 10 Terminators. Like that's what I'm thinking.
So 450 points for that 10 Terminators, and then this guy. You're talking about a quarter of your points in that one unit. That if you roll 6s, you cause some mortals as well. If they could get critical wounds on 5s, if there's any way for them to do that, that's a lot better. They can get, and here's the other thing: when Terminators charge in, they have lethal hits.
God damn it! She did me.
Yep.
God damn it!
I'm not sure about Paladins. I was looking up the other one's abilities to see. Essentially, I was looking at abilities trying to see, can you get criticals on a 5? Because if you get them on 5, ooh, now I really like this guy. Even if it's tough to do, other armies have the ability. Yeah, nothing on either one that really does that.
Yeah.
I don't like him because I think, again, you're chasing, oh, here's a really particular thing I can do. Sure, but I don't think you get enough out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, bringing him back is neat, but the only way to bring him back, he's probably the last one left anyway, unless he got sniped out. I just don't think you get enough. Characters should excite us for the things that they do. You know, causing a mortal on the critical, cool, but I like it then when that can, and here's a way I can make those happen a little bit better. Ooh, here's a little something more I can get. You actually get less of them because your one unit gets lethal hits when they charge. So it actually makes it worse. Yeah, I don't know. He's okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on it. That idea of meh.
And the units he leads is the same ones, the Terminator squads and the Paladins, that a lot of these other guys have led, other than Crowe, of course. And I liked the other people, some of those other people, better for what they did. So it's not like, oh, he leads a very different unit that kind of gets the use out of this. Or, oh, no one else leads that unit, so why not? No, none of that's true. So that's all right. Very ho-hum. That takes Dan to the Brother Captain.
Yes, sir. Brother Captain. Movement
95
5,
points. Yep.
Toughness 5, 2 up save, 6 wounds, leadership 6, and OC 1. He's got the same weapons as the other ones: Incineroar, Silencer, Psychic, Storm Bolter. We've gone over them already. He's got a Nemesis Force weapon, which I think we haven't done a generic one yet.
No,
so
he's the first one to generic weapon.
Got it. So 4 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. And that's going to be a very common profile.
Like everything else we're going to read has that profile.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're a vehicle or Dreadknight.
Because for those who are waiting for Demon Hammers or Demon Hammers or Warding Staves, I think they were called, keep waiting. So he's got Empiric Amplification. It's essentially a psychic power. While this model is lead a unit, psychic weapons equipped with the model in that unit have the sustained hits 1 ability. Okay, that's good.
That I like that better.
Because all of the weapons are psychic based.
Like, yeah, everything is psychic. Yeah.
So that is really good. And then focused mind. Each time you make a model with attack with a psychic weapon, you could reroll the wound roll. This model, sorry, I should say.
Yeah.
So you can reroll the wound roll with his melee, or I guess if you gave him a side cannon, which you would because side cannons are amazing. Wow, I think he's the first. Is he better than all the named characters? Pretty much. What is he? 95 points.
He's 95.
Yeah.
I think there's still a reason you would take Voldus, but
Voldus is still good. I forgot about Voldus.
Yes,
Voldus
but if I'm taking someone else, I really do like this guy. I do think, and you can put some enhancements on him. Some of those enhancements actually would work pretty well for him. And that sustained hits 1 is great because, like I said, a lot of your stuff is psychic. Most of the weapons you have or that you'll want to have are psychic.
Yep.
Not even just your close combat. Like I said, side cannons. He can take one. The rest of the unit he's with, depending on who he is, you can get a couple side cannons in as well.
Their melee weapons are psychic.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not even counting their melee weapons. They have other psychic options. If you count their melee, then no, I think this is a really good option.
Yeah.
Hey, we're really positive about something. Steve, are you positive about this guy? Is this the first thing we like?
Or
so depressing.
I don't know 40K. We only know things are good. I just know when things are crap.
Yeah.
So is he not crap or is he crap?
I mean, how many points is he again?
He's 95.
95?
That's like that's between like lieutenant and like captain sort of level of points. Yeah. It's right
Pretty
there.
much.
Okay.
Characters really
Um,
decent characters sit around 100. They can go a little above, a little bit below, but that's about the sweet spot for characters we find.
and he hits on twos. That's pretty neat. I can't say that for all the HQs here. Yeah,
That's very
I'd take
true.
him.
Jesus
We
Christ,
did
we're
see
so
a few
salty
that
about.
didn't. And for ability wise, his again, if you have an ability that always does something good for me, I'm like you a lot more because I know I'll get uses. Most of my weapons are psychic, sustained hits one, I get some extra hits. I'm happy with
Exactly.
that. I'll never not be happy with that. Where like, oh, I help against demons. Well, if I'm not facing demons, I don't care. No, this is
Yeah,
always
exactly.
good.
It does jack shit. Exactly.
The thing is, like the silencer wouldn't help because silencer already has sustained hits one, so you want to take other options like the side cannon. So, all right, short but nice. We have some other people who start with the word brother, and this one is the Brotherhood Champion. I write that down. Oop.
Please be good. The Brotherhood Champion was basically the Blade Champion.
I mean, this is our first non-Terminator generic, and our second non-Terminator overall. So it's a little
Yes,
special just for that.
that is true. He is the champion's 85 points. He is move 6, toughness 4. He's got 2 up save because he's essentially Artificer with a 4 up invul. He's 4 wounds, 6 leadership, grabs 1 objective for you. He is Ethereal Castigation. While his model's leading a unit, they have the fights first, which is really, really good. He leads Purgation Squads and Strike Squads, so he leads something different. He has Martial Fury. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a character, you can reroll the hit and the wound. Yes, he does have precision. He has a Nemesis force weapon. He gets the 5 attacks, the strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage, but he has precision. And he's got Stormbolter as well.
It gives fight first. We know about fight first because we did.
Yeah, well, but
Yeah.
there's a distinction. So
There
fights first is really good if you're really good when you fight first. If you give fights first to like a unit that isn't very good at it, like that doesn't necessarily matter. So
Aren't Strike Squad's pretty good at melee?
well, that's what I'm taking a look
Okay.
at. So Purgation Squads have Nemesis force weapons with 3 attacks. As for Strike Squad, let me look those up real fast. Strike Squad is 2 words. This app is actually really good. Same exact thing. They get 3 attacks on it. So fights first with those guys aren't bad.
Okay.
Like fights first with a custode is better because custodes in general are better.
Are better, exactly.
Like 10
but
of these-
fight first.
10 man strike squad's 270. So you are getting like 30s fights first attacks. That's pretty good. You know, if you're going to take one of those, yeah, you take this guy. Why not?
Right.
Make them scarier, but I don't know if those, until we really get through them, I don't know if those are squads you truly want to make sure that you have. But if you do have them, yeah. All right. I think it's to Dan for the librarian.
No, wait. No, isn't
I just went. No, Steve just talked about the guy before that.
Oh yeah, I go after you.
Yes.
So Brotherhood. Wait, no, I talked about the guy before that, didn't I?
Yeah,
Did-
no, I gave
Didn't you take the?
I think Captain Stern.
Yeah. I did
Oh, okay.
Brother
Sorry.
Captain,
So you're the brother. Okay. Sorry.
Brother
So
Librarian. Yeah.
he's the librarian. Someone go.
Brother,
It's not
brother,
me.
brother.
Whoever
I was
wants
like,
to
yeah.
talk.
All right.
I don't know anymore.
Brotherhood Librarian. He's a Terminator, going right back to Terminators. Movement 5, toughness 5, 2 save, 5 wound, leadership 6, objective capture 1. He has the keywords you'd expect. He joins the units you would expect being a Terminator. He has weapons you'd expect. He has a combi weapon and a Stormbolter. Sorry. He has Purge Soul and a Nemesis Force weapon. And you give him either a combi weapon or a Stormbolter. And of those two, you're probably taking the combi weapon to get that nice anti-infantry 4-up devastating wounds.
Yes.
So we'll go through that real quick. Range 24, 1 attack, BS 4, strength 4, no AP, damage 1. But with anti-infantry 4-up and devastating wounds, rapid fire 1, you can accomplish things.
Yes.
He also has the psychic power, Purge Soul, has 2 modes, either the Witchfire or the Focused Witchfire. The not so focused one is 1 attack, hitting on 3s. Strength 6, AP -2, damage 3. I should have mentioned the combi weapon hits on 4s.
Yeah.
So that's a little
All
rough.
combis do that.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the combi rule.
yeah. AP -2, damage 3 on the Witchfire. The focus Witchfire is precision, psychic, and hazardous.
Yep.
So if you're willing to roll the dice, you could pick who you hit, and it has the same exact stat line for damage. And if you really wanted a Stormbolt or Rapid Fire, it's a Stormbolter. And he has a generic Nemesis Force weapon. He's got 4 attacks with it. Hits on 2s.
Yep. It's
Nothing,
force one, but he gets 4 of them.
Yeah. Let's see. He gets the standard keywords. He gets Sanctic Hood. So you get a Feel No Pain 4 up against psychic attacks with him. Well, his unit. Okay. If you're fighting, listen, if you get the mirror match, Grey Knights at the top table, and you brought a librarian, and your opponent didn't, you're gonna have a real upper hand.
And everyone else in the tournament drops because you're at the top table with double Grey Knights.
Yep.
Or everyone else is Votan. It's all Grey Knights and Votan as far as the eye can see.
And then we have Vortex of Doom, which is a psychic in shooting phase. Select one enemy unit with an 18, invisible to the Psyker, and roll a d6. On a 1, the Psyker's unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. Ouch. On a 2 to 5, the enemy unit suffers 2d3. On a 6, they suffer 2d6.
He's 110 points.
I will roll the 1 every time. I'm staying away.
The fact that the 1 is d6 is so rough.
Like, if it was like 1 wound, I'd be like, sure. If it was d3, I'd be like, okay. I'm going to roll the 1 every time. And I'm going to roll that 1 into a 6 90% of the time.
Dave was there when someone rolled the 1 during our game.
Yes.
I think it was against my Custodies.
It was.
And I was like, can you re-roll it? And he goes, no.
At least his Sanctic Hood will give him a 4-up Feel No Pain versus that. Because it is psychic. If he vortexes a doom on himself.
I like how that is like, at least this happens, guys.
Well, because the big thing is, like you said, it's
is
only
he
1 in 6.
Is he taking it against a psychic attack, though? I hate to nerf a Grey Knight, but does he get the bonus against it?
Yeah, because it's a 4-up Feel No Pain versus psychic attacks. No.
I would say no.
No, you're right. It's psychic. No, and you're... No, I guess technically no because
it's not.
You've hit yourself, but you didn't necessarily target yourself. Just let him have it.
This isn't even an attack.
No, you're
I
right.
will let him have it.
Mortal wounds.
I'm just gonna let him have it because this is depressing.
Oh no!
It's not likely odds, but there is a chance you roll the 1 and just wreck yourself.
Yep.
That's.
Oh god, we were so happy about like the brother captain, and then it just went downhill again.
Yeah.
You
don't gain
the plus
enough.
Side,
you don't.
Did they convert this model, or is this a new model? It's a conversion, right?
No, they have a Brotherhood Librarian now. They actually do.
Oh, they have a dedicated model. Okay.
They have a dedicated model.
I haven't kept up with Grey Knights since they first released in 5th edition, so. Whenever I see a new model, I'm like, is that an actual new model, or is it just another, generic green painted silver? Okay. Well, at least they finally got their own special model. I'm happy for them.
It's just lacking a little bit. Again, Sanctic Hood is nice, but if your opponent doesn't have a lot of psychic attacks or has none, then it doesn't do you any good. Vortex of Doom is cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's neat, but there is a chance you do terrible things to yourself. It's not terribly likely, but again, even that 2d6 mortal wounds, if you don't roll that well, it might not really do that much. You need to roll the 6. It's just as likely that you hurt yourself horribly that you hurt the opponent horribly.
Yep.
And the rest of his stuff, the Purge Soul isn't even like multi-shots. It's 1 shot. Yeah.
And he's going to feel great when you land, 12 mortal wounds on something.
Yes.
That 1 in 218 times you attempt this. So, sorry, 216.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other times. Like I said, you're going to roll some, or you roll the 2d3 and you get like a 3.
The other 215 times you try it.
Yeah. And some of those times you don't survive it. It's just the abilities are okay, but they're not always going to shine. and that hurts them. Base Space Marine characters, a lot of their abilities, there's tons of them. Whenever we do Space Marines, the one is just going to be purely characters like we did Necrons. But when we get through all their characters, depending on your situation, depending on what you want, there's characters for it. Here, if you don't know ahead of time what you're going against, this ability could actually be really, really bad. There's a lot of armies that don't do Psychic at all. Or do so little that it won't matter. All right. That
Brotherhood
takes us-
Techmarine.
Is that, yeah. Now that there's three of us for this, I don't know who goes when. It was easy when it was just me and you.
So, yeah,
I always kind
yeah,
of knew,
exactly.
but I'm out of practice here.
Brotherhood Techmarine is movement 5, toughness 4, 2 up save, 4 wounds, 6 leadership, OC 1.
He doesn't have a model, I assume.
No, you have to. This one you do have to craft.
Yeah, 85 points.
Bolt pistol, bolt gun, flamer. Those are all the normal things. Melee weapon. He does have some new stuff. He's got an Omnissiah axe, 4 attacks, hits on 3, strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage. Okay. He's got a plasma cutter. Ooh, that's okay. That's kind of cool. It might not be great, but that's cool. He has a plasma cutter as a melee weapon that you could supercharge because it's a plasma weapon in close combat. They're each extra attacks. One is hazardous, obviously, with the supercharge. Basically, the main difference is they both get 2 attacks. They both hit on 3s. One is strength 7. One is strength 8. One is AP 2. One is AP 3. One is 1 damage. One is 2 damage. Okay. And he's got also more extra attacks with the servo arms.
Oh, yeah.
And these are 2 attacks, 3s, strength 8, AP 2, 3 damage. So, ironically, 6, 7, 8, he's got 8 attacks on this dude.
Yeah. So far, I like him. For 85 points, so far, I like him.
Yeah. Awaken the Machine Spirit. In your command phase, you can select one friendly Grey Knight vehicle. Dave, do me a favor. Our Dreadknight's vehicles, while I continue this, within 6 inches of this model until the start of your next command phase. Each time that vehicle model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Okay, absolutely please check if Dreadknights are vehicles.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now.
Yep.
Like I said, the problem is I have to look it up off of my phone.
Yep, that's fine. In your command phase, you can select one
Vehicle,
friendly Grey
yes.
Knight vehicle. Okay, thank God. All right, there's your +1 a hit, guys. Because it's until the start of your next command phase. So he has the +1 a hit through your opponent's phase as well.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. There it is. In your command, why did they?
And then you re-deep strike it.
Yeah. In
and
your command
you pray
phase,
that you roll a 9. Or an 8 if you took the relic.
in your command phase, you can select one friendly vehicle within 3 inches. You can regain D3 lost wounds. And while this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Grey Knight vehicle units, unit is leading it. This has the lone operative rule.
Yeah, if it's
because
by himself.
can't if it's by himself. Yeah.
He can lead strike squads and servitors.
Servitors.
So Steve, the thing you mentioned there that put it on him, then leave. I forget in this game, does most stuff doesn't have a memory, I don't think, does it? If
What do
you
you
leave
mean?
the board. In 40K, does the unit have a memory?
No.
They've changed
actually
this.
a
They've changed this a
good
few times. It's gone
question.
wrong. I think you do not have a memory.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
I don't know.
I don't think it's worth using two of your redeploys to do it. To redeploy both.
No.
And then he's all exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, because you would need another vehicle near him for lone operative. Or, like I said, he can lead some servitors or a strike squad. Otherwise, I really do like this guy. Like I said,
Yeah, I do
think
like him.
base, I would say, doesn't have a memory. Because even if it does right now, they might change it later. He's got tons and tons of attacks.
I generally like this guy.
Would he be good with a strike squad? I mean, there's always servitors, but I'm less worried about that. Let me take a look at a strike squad real fast. Let me see how cool these guys are. Variety of options.
It is important to note he does not have an invulnerable save.
No, he's the first thing with that one. It's still in a 2-up, so he would be pretty good in a strike squad. How about servitors?
No. I think it's the Grey Knight Servitors that are broken. They don't work.
Well, how are they broken?
There was something wrong with them, and I can't remember if GW fixed it or not. It was either their points or their ballistic skill. Or was that Mechanicus? Never mind, ignore me. That might be Mechanicus.
Might be. There's
They
multiple
shoot
data
on
sheets of just
4s, melee on 5s.
Never mind, so it was Mechanicus. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
they can take things like melt. Actually, yeah, they're pretty good.
And I guess +1 to hit if it's led by a Techmarine. So hitting on threes with heavy bolters, multi-beltas, and plasma cannons.
He might actually be pretty good with them then. Buff up your vehicles. They just form a nice little firing base in the back. Because this is an
Strike.
army that doesn't have, some of those heavier style weapon options. So that actually might be pretty good. I do like that idea. I'm not sure it would be like super competitive, but you're not playing Grey Knights for competitive. You're playing Grey Knights because you think Grey Knights are fun. And I
And
think
they
that's a
look
way
cool.
to have some good fun.
Yes, and they do look cool. I will
In
die on
general,
that
yeah,
pedestal.
I don't know if I'd want to paint just all that gray personally, but maybe. I don't know. I like a little bit more of purposeful variety. All right, is it me for the Brother Chaplain? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let me just mark which one I know is me. That way I'll be able to follow this from here out. All right, the Chaplain. Chaplain is 90 points for this guy. We're back to invul saves. Move 5, toughness 5. He's 2 up save, 5 wounds, leadership 5. He actually has better leadership, makes sense. He's a chaplain. 4 up invul, he said 1 OC. He has words of power. When this model's leading a unit, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, you add 1 to the wound roll. He leads Terminator squads or Paladins. He is a Terminator himself. Dread Bearing. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time the unit takes a battle shock leadership, subtract 1 from the test. I'm not too concerned about that. Nice to have, but the words of power is actually quite good. He's got Stormbolter, and he has his Crozius. His Crozius is 5 attacks on 2s, strength 6, AP minus 1, 2 damage. And he was, I said, what, 90? 90. That might be worthwhile enough just to get the +1 to wound. Because now you're wounding basic Marine or Terminators on 2s, because it's strength 6 weapon naturally. And things that you would be struggling against, the things that you're hitting normally on 5s, putting it to 4s means your weapon at AP minus 1, 2 damage can actually cut through it. So if I'm for some reason not leading a unit with anyone else, my Terminators or my the other unit, yeah. It's the other one, sorry, Paladins. My other type of Terminator. But you have so many leader options.
Yeah.
And we already liked Brother Captains. We already liked
We're starting to enter
Voldus.
the domain of we're liking too many of the heroes again.
Well, it's good that
Less
they have
so
heroes.
than
And
normal.
yet so few of them.
Yes, that's what we don't
Exactly.
like so many of them. I think the problem is because the units most of these heroes go on are expensive units because they're Terminator units. And Terminator units you're paying a premium for automatically. So it's not like base Space Marines or some other armies where I can bring like 4 or 5 heroes because I can fit the units. I'm probably not doing that here. So this guy is a good option. But you're probably only having 1 to 2 of these units unless that's just like the style you're running. So is he beating out... He's not beating out Voldus to me. Is he bringing out like some of the other ones like
The
Brother
brother captain, probably
Captains?
no.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's decent, but I don't know if you're going to necessarily take him because I don't necessarily know if he's like your higher choice. So
Makes sense.
Dread Bearing, I don't care about at all. Word of Power, I do, but Dread Bearing is meaningless to me. Battle Shock, it's nice when people fail Battle Shock, but we've already seen that with Tyranid armies where they can make everyone take one. Doesn't really go that far. All right. That now takes us to normal units. We're actually out of all the characters.
Yay!
Look at
We
that.
made it.
We'll probably do a little bit of the units and then we'll call it. We'll see. I know it's not me. Because I know
That's because it's me.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
So we have here the Brotherhood Terminator Squad, the quote-unquote generic Terminators of the Grey Knights. Move 5, toughness 5, 2 up saves, 3 wounds apiece, leadership 6, objective capture 2, 4 up invul. It's what you expect out of a Terminator body
Yes.
in that respect. They deep strike, they have teleport assault. Their battle line, which is nice. They're psychers. They have grenades. Not all Terminators do, I don't think.
Not always, no.
Yeah, but these guys, they do have grenades, and that's neat. For war gear, they're going to come stock with storm bolters and force weapons. For every 5, one guy could upgrade his storm bolter into an incinerator, silencer, psi cannon. One Terminator can switch out his Stormbolter for an Ancient's Banner, which we'll get to, and one can replace the Stormbolter with the Narthecium, which you're almost guaranteed to want to do.
You have to.
Yeah. You start with one Justicar and 4 Terminators. You could add 5 more.
Yeah.
How many points are that?
For the Terminators, 225 for 5, 450 for 10.
All right. It's a decent chunk of change.
Oh, yeah.
So those war gear options, if you have the banner, you have +1 objective control to go to OC3, which is I feel like that's a pretty solid number for an infantry unit.
Very much.
That said, your army is very elite, so it helps. It helps a lot. And then we have the Narthecium. In your command phase, you return 1 destroyed model, excluding characters, to the bearer's unit.
That's
there
why
we go.
You're
them.
gonna need that.
I was muted, by the way.
Oh, no, I know.
Big thing with the banner. Big thing with the banner. Sorry, big thing with the banner. You don't lose your melee weapon. Some
Correct.
armies lose the melee weapon when you switch the banner. This one specifically does not.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. I do want to mention that because that is a big selling point of the banner.
Oh yeah. For the weapons, the Stormbolter is your standard Stormbolter. It's gonna hit on 3s.
Yep. Yeah, these guys
2
are
attacks with rapid fire. Yeah. Melee force weapons are the generic weapons. 4 attacks apiece, hitting on 3s. Strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. It's a nice profile. It's just what everyone has in this army for the most part. For the upgraded ranged weapons, the Incinerator is the same as earlier. They're all the same as earlier.
Yes.
Except now they're hitting on 3s instead of hitting on 2s.
Hmm.
So, the Incinerator's D6 attacks, strength 6, -1/1. Silencer, 6 attacks, 5s, no AP, damage 1. Psy Cannon, I think, is still the winner of these options with range 24.
Yeah, I agree.
3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 8, AP -1, damage 2. It does damage that you'll notice.
Yeah.
Stormbolters could pick up things like Termagants. Psy Cannons help you pick up Space Marines.
One thing you missed was Hammerhand.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yep.
right. Hammerhand. This is what made Voldus less appealing? Was it Voldus?
No, it wasn't Voldus.
It was
whichever guy.
For those, while they're
not
looking,
Stern.
this is
You
also
can
the-
look as well, because we're actually...
Well, I was
he's
gonna make a
talking.
funny-
I can't scroll. So rather than painting, you can look.
I'm not painting. I was going to make a funny joke.
Was it?
This is
There you
also
go.
the skill. This is also the skill that broke math.
You were-
If Dave
you were
remembers
definitely
this one. No, remember this is the skill that broke math. Oh, I am painting, but this is the skill that broke math. Remember, this is the one that GW said you added before you multiplied.
Oh, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
remember
okay.
this?
Oh,
That was
yes,
the
yes. You're right.
joke.
Hammerhand
So back
did
in
do
the
that.
day, it was a psychic
Yes,
power.
I
Gave
was
your
gonna say, that was
model
the old
+1
joke.
strength. The big debate was the +1 strength come before or after you double it for things like hammers?
Yeah.
Yep,
For anyone who
and
doesn't
GW
know,
ruled.
certain weapons used to just double your strength characteristic. This is one, normally it was always done where it was done afterwards with the way math should be. This is one where it went differently.
Yep, that's the funny
To be
joke.
fair, I understand why they did it that way, because you have modifiers to stats and then you have modifiers to attacks. But anyway,
Yes. Yeah, I get that as well, but just overall, I don't like it.
yeah. Anyway, so what it does this edition, instead of making math not work the way it does for everything else in the game, and increasing your strength stat, which, oh wait, there is no strength stat for a model anymore. What it does now is, on a turn you make a charge move, to the end of the turn, melee weapons gain lethal hits. With 4 attacks a guy, that's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing.
If you're taking 40, that's pretty good. It was Brother Captain Stern was the one who gave them on
It
critical
was
wounds.
Stern, okay.
Yeah, it was Stern.
It's not bad. At all.
No.
I feel like this is a unit that wants to bully things that are on objectives.
Yes.
I don't know why. I just get that vibe from them.
The problem is they're expensive.
Yeah. But
They're-
Terminators are expensive. I'm not begrudging this unit for being expensive because they're Terminators and Terminators are costly. I think the begrudging is a little bit that most of the characters, they're going in Terminator units because those are the options. So if you really want to take several characters, you're having to take more of these guys. Unless you want them run by themselves. But I don't run characters by themselves unless they have like lone operative. Overall, I do like these guys. I do think they're quite good. I think the lethal hits is great because if you can actually get all 10 to swing in, that's 40 attacks. You're looking at least 6 that are lethal hits. And, on 3s, you're going to get a good amount of damage into people. I think Side Cannon is a really good option. Silencer isn't bad if you're wanting these guys to be able to help mow down large groups. If you're worried about, I said, Tyranid units, or if you're worried about people playing Imperial Guard or just playing more mass things, orcs even, potentially. But I do think the Terminators in general are good. But like I said, they are expensive, so you're not going to take many of these guys because you can't afford many. And this is an army where I think you're going to run out of points real fast. All right. That takes it to Dan for strike squads.
Strike squads, the even more normal troop squads.
Hmm.
So these are your Grey Knights in normal Artificer armor.
Yes.
Movement 6, toughness 4, 2 up save, 2 wounds, leadership 6, 2 OC. Same exact weapons as above: Incinerator, Silencer, Side Cannon, Storm Bolter. You take the Side Cannon or the Silencer, Incinerator. Maybe the Incinerator. And how many Incinerators can you take? 1 in every 5. Never mind. You have a Nemesis Force weapon, which is the same exact weapon that the Terminators are.
Yep.
All right. So what is their big thing then? They can do Sanctifying Ritual. So if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, and this unit is within range of that objective marker marker remains in your control, even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn.
Yeah.
This is sticky objectives. What's really cool about the sticky objective, because they're all worded differently, this is your opponent controls it at the start or end. This is not at any phase, which some sticky objectives are. You have to check like shooting phase, charging phase.
Yeah, well, it's
right?
the end of your command phase.
But what I'm saying is, it remains in your control. When your opponent tries to control a sticky objective, most often, Dave, you check every single phase, right? Shooting, let's say somehow I move in the shooting phase, right? If I control it, now it's mine. You lose sticky objective.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe you get rerolls off the wounds or whatever. The point is that this is only at the beginning or the end. So I could only take it from you from the beginning or the end.
Yes.
Is functionally the same, right?
No, because
you can actually take them
the beginning of
one
turn. You'd also be controlling the end of the other, right?
No,
because battle shock.
Yes, or you walk onto the objective during your turn. You won't have it until the end. Where naturally you would actually take it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. That there's where it matters for a few spots. It's not.
I'm hearing is Grey Knights are OP with this objective manipulating nonsense.
Get out of here with
Doesn't
nonsense.
even cost command points.
They're 135 for 5 or 270 for 10 guys.
And you could redeploy them every turn for free.
Yeah, but 270.
Yeah, it's too much.
270.
One thing to note.
Also
if they
notice
take the heavy weapons, they lose their force weapons, and so it's the basic punch.
Yes. That's why they have the close combat weapon. Also, the melee attacks is 3. They don't get the 4 like Terminators. Here's the other problem, Steve, with your they leave and come back. It's at the end of your command phase. They won't be on the board yet if you pop them up. Because it's end of opponent's phase.
They secure one and then move to the next one.
For a future turn. So every other turn they can do it. But on each turn, they actually won't be on the board in time. Not so sticky.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you sticky round 1. At the end of opponent's turn round 1, take them up and go somewhere else on what will be your round 2. You drop down somewhere. You might not be on the objective yet, but then you try to take them off the objective and sticky it now in round 3. That's what I think you probably do with these guys. And they do have scouts 6 inches.
I missed. Oh,
yes,
I did miss that. They do have scouts.
It's because you keep painting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did they take away the teleporty squad as a unique unit?
The interceptors, I don't know.
I
think they're still
here. They're still here.
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah, interceptor squads are there.
I'm curious why they have scout. Do they? I don't remember them having.
They never had scout before. Nope.
Okay.
I can tell you right now because I played them.
They did it. They did it for fluff reasons. These guys are supposed to be the vanguard of the force because everyone else is a slow ass Terminator. So
Teleporting
that's
in.
really why, or teleporting
That's
in. Yeah, these guys are putting down your teleport homers and stuff like that to kind of bring the rest of the people in. So, anything with sticky objectives is good. Anything with sticky objectives, I think you're going to at least want one of. The problem is for this unit, I don't know if you do a small unit of these guys, and I don't know if you'll be able to afford a giant unit. The small unit will help you sticky your backfield nice and easy. Cool. It's not going to help you sticky the opponent's side because you need to live long enough. Unless you can hide yourself, but that's probably not going to happen.
So I'm hearing the secret is to hit that sweet point between 5 and 10 miles, about 7 miles, and run that, right?
Yeah, you can totally do that.
Totally.
Yeah, you'll pay a lot of points. Yeah, when if they ever let us do different sizes, yes. Otherwise, I think I'd still probably take the squad of 10, or maybe maybe I do is maybe I take 2 5s.
I would do 2 5s. That way you could try to sticky 2 objectives a turn.
Sticky
if you happen to have the mobility for it.
I'd probably put 1 down turn 1, sticky my own objective. I'll keep the other one in reserve for a deep strike. So turn 2, I'm deep striking 2 different spots because at the end of your opponent's turn, I'm pulling up. Turn 2, I'm popping down 2 different spots, and now you have 2 different units you have to take down. If you don't take them both down, I can sticky somewhere turn 3, or at least be stopping you from grabbing it or something like that. I think there's some play there. Not sure if it's the best idea, but I think that's something you can absolutely do. All right. That puts me to Paladins, at least according to my very unscientific approach here. Wait. No. Yes. Yes. I already marked the one thing, and that's why I miscounted a little bit there. For Paladins, these are 255 for 5 or 510 for 10. These are very expensive Terminators. They were always expensive. They used to be absolutely insane.
Yes, Drago Wing.
Yes, everyone. If you ran Grey Knights, that's what you did. You run Paladins.
I remember Drago Wing.
These guys are move 5, toughness 5, 2 up save, of course, for Orp Invul. They're 3 wounds, leadership 6, 1 objective, so a Terminator. They have inner fortitude. Each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than their toughness, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So most things then are wounding them on really no better than 4s, unless it's a strength 10 or better weapon. Then it's wounding on 3s. You can take a banner to add +1 to your objective control. For this, they come with Stormbolters, Nemesis weapons. For every 5, 2 of them can replace their Stormbolter by the special weapons, the Incinerator, Side Cannon, or Silencer. And one of them can swap their Stormbolter. He swaps out both to get the banner, and then the Stormbolter becomes a different weapon. So you could actually have 3 special weapons for every 5, but your one guy absolutely loses his banner. For their weapons, it's everything that we already know. They have the Nemesis force weapons with 4 attacks because they're Terminators. They have the Incinerators, Silencer, Side Cannon, Stormbolter. But here you can actually take quite a few of those. Probably Side Cannons, because these guys probably want to fight the bigger, tougher, heavier things, especially because they're getting -1 to wound if something's actually hitting them easy, or wounding them easy, I should say. While it's free, while upgrades are free, I'm reasonably happy at 255. If you ever had to start paying points for these ranged weapons, I would put these guys on a shelf and never look at them again.
Mm-hmm. My big problem with them is they're not 4 wounds. These guys were supposed to be the creme de la creme of the, like, these are paladins, man. I forgot the fluff on them, but they're supposed to do some crazy stupid quest of like glory, and they go out into, like, they have to actually do a quest to become a paladin, right?
Thank God they don't have apothecaries anymore in the unit.
Yeah, and they don't have apothecaries.
Everyone that lived through 2008's meta.
It's just so to me, it's just like, I don't understand why they listen. I understand why GW did it, to make it simpler. That's why everything's a Nemesis weapon. But
Yeah.
they lost a lot of the customization. They don't have apothecaries anymore, which was a big thing with paladins.
Yes.
You take apothecaries because they need to live. That was the whole point of the goddamn apothecary. I don't know. Just I'm
So that they call out that to essentially to be a paladin, you have to take out a demon that's like it's got to be like a known demon. That's what like makes you a
yeah.
paladin. So yeah, these guys are exceptionally elite, and they just don't feel it. They have a lot of the
No, they
same
don't.
options, and a lot of the same things everyone else does. Their ability is very nice, but do I like that? You know, do I
Okay.
always like that more than lethal hits?
Hold on. This is weird.
Okay, and they're only OC1. The other guys were OC2 base
Me
and could
too.
become
Yeah,
3.
exactly.
These guys replace their melee weapon with the banner.
Yes,
Oh my
they do.
god, go away.
Yes, they do get a special. They do get one of the special range weapons automatically when they do
If they
that.
want.
Yes,
If they want.
You're going to. Don't keep your storm
Yeah.
bolter.
Because then you have 3 special weapons.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
reading this right.
a unit can get 3.
Which-
So every 5 can get 2, and your banner guy, if you take a banner guy, can get 1 as well. So you could actually, in a unit of 10, you could have 5 side cannons, which is really good. But that's over a quarter of your points. It's 510 points. And that's without a leader. And this is a unit that probably wants one of those leaders to give them that little bit extra because they need a little extra. So now you're talking like 600 points.
I mean, -1 to wound them is a pretty damn big deal, though.
Yes, if your strength is more.
Right. So then 5s goes to 4. Sorry, 3s goes to 4s, 2s goes to 3s. Those are noticeable shifts.
They are, but I think there's also a lot of cases. Okay, I do like
The
that.
1,000 cuts
but
approach.
yeah, you're still only 3 wounds on a 2, and I can put you to a 4 pretty easy with a little bit of a minus, or at least on a 3 up. I don't think you get enough for
I feel
what
like a
you're
lot
paying
of
for.
those weapons are strength 6 and up. The multi-damage ones and the good AP ones. Like, there's a couple that could blink away,
Yeah, like
but they're only OC1 base 2 with a banner. They're only they're an OC2 unit in all reality because you're going to take that banner.
like this is a unit that wants Voldus in it because Voldus is going to make them -1 to hit. So -1 to hit, and you're wounding me on 1 less. Now you're surviving. Now this unit's not going down, or not going down easily at all. But I'm spending at that point. How much was Voldus? Voldus was like 105, 115, 115. If I'm taking a big unit, I'm spending like 625 for that. That's too much. Not that Terminators aren't expensive, but that's super, super expensive. And here's the thing. All right, you got this really great Terminator unit that I'm really not going to hurt. I'm not going to bother. I will feed you things at cheaper points cost just to occupy my time.
Yep.
I'll feed you a 200-point unit. That's fine. If it keeps you off objectives, or, okay, you want to deep strike in your stuff or something like that. Now you're coming off the board. I don't know. It's too much. So if we don't change their points, what should change? If we weren't going to change points, let's not change points at all. What do we change? What do they need? What makes them feel 500 point 10?
Okay, I got you. I know you're gonna roll your eyes, but I'm gonna compare them to custodians. These are the wardens, right? For the custodians. Remember the wardens that had they had the same exact rule, which is anything higher strength weapon, it's 1 less to wound, right?
Yeah.
But wardens also had that once per game for feel no pain. They're actually cheaper than these guys, by the way. Fun fact. Actually, no, they're not. They're 600 points for 6 of them. So
Yeah,
they're
so
actually
those guys are more.
So these guys are more. They need another ability. They need a double ability. They need something else. Maybe not a feel no pain ability, but maybe something like, I don't know, they get to attack twice. Maybe they get anti everything 2 up once per game. They need something that makes them like Paladin. Because I'm looking at this.
Fights first, or
Yeah, even something like that wouldn't be bad because for what they have, Fights First doesn't go crazy on them. They don't have like lethal hits or devastating wounds or anything nutty like that, so I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind if instead just give them an extra wound, change nothing else but make them 4 wounds. Now we've seen a lot of 2 damage weapons. We've seen also a lot of 3 damage weapons. Now they're surviving a little bit more. Something I don't know. Who
was the guy that gave bonuses to psychic weapons? It was sustained hits, right? With the Brother Captain?
I believe that's correct.
I would be tempted to throw that there instead of
Voldus.
And just leaning into the gun platforming.
Yeah, he gives anything that's psychic. So you give it to your side cannons because your silencers won't help. Give it to your side cannons, your Nemesis, and then you got sustained hits on everything you throw. You're doing it only for a little over 600 points at this point, 605. But again, still 600 points. Because you could take a 5-man. Obviously, you could do a 5-man. But I'm thinking about when you're taking brick. If you're doing a 5-man, I don't know if you get enough out of it. But you're taking a 10-man, I think you're spending way too much.
If only there was a way to get somewhere in between the two. What a shame.
Honestly, even between, though, it'd still be too much. It's the per model cost, I think, is the big thing. Because, yes, I do think these guys need a character to give them that extra oomph. And I think either the Brother Captain or Voldus are good options. But you're spending tons and tons of points at that point to get the unit to feel like they can function. And I think that might just be too expensive. I don't know. Price is the name of the game, and price is something that they got problems with. For sure. All right. I think that's it for them. So, how far are we trying to get?
Is that halfway? What page are we on? We're on page
33, but let's keep in mind they do have a few things. Very few. They got about 4 entries that we don't see here.
So add 4 pages. Well, actually, no, divide it by 2 because it's so. Give me a second.
Love watching you do math.
No, so there's 62 pages, but remember, it's back and front. So really, there's 31 pages.
There's 31, yes.
Entries, yeah. We have been through. No, right? We have been through, what, 15 of them?
Yes.
I'd say let's do the Purifier Squad as the last one. Because then the Servitors are so different, and then it gets into like the Dreadnoughts and stuff. Purifier Squad should be the last one.
Okay. So...
And then do Servitors. Might as well finish out the infantry at least.
Okay. So that would be...
Except then we have the Interceptors after the Dreadnought and the Purgation.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God, GW.
Remember, the Strike Squad box is actually like three different units.
That's very
why
true.
is it not put together?
All right. Why don't we have Steve tell us about some Purifiers, and then we'll judge from there.
Yeah.
Purifiers say get some space Jesus. So, you know their thing. They're all about cleansing and stuff. They are infantry, power armor, not Terminators. So the list of units that can join them is rather small. As a matter of fact, I believe it's just their master, right?
Yep, he's the only one who joins.
6. They're not getting any enhancements thrown at their way ever. Love to see it. Movement 6, toughness 4. It's what you expect. 2 up save, 2 wounds, no invul. Leadership 6. Objective capture is only 1, which is kind of poop.
Yeah.
They have teleport, assault, and deep strike. They have psychic grenades. Sanctity of purpose. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if it's below its starting strength, and add 1 to the wound roll if it's below half strength. Can I just kill one of my models off the gate? Or
not in this game. There's other ones. So like in Legion, Maul has an ability that when he's injured, you get an extra action.
And one of your cards is...
Yes, he has cards that say, do a wound to Maul. So it's like, I get a rule and I get to use my rule. Here, it's like, you're just hanging out, hoping you can start hitting on 2s.
Shoot me first, but not too good.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Ooh, and there is room to make use of that rule because everything hits on 3s.
Yes.
All right, these guys are going to come stocked with Purifying Flame Psychic Attack, the Stormbolter and a Nemesis Force Weapon, generic. They They're going to get 3 attacks on their force weapons.
Mhm.
For every 5, 2 can switch out their bolter and force weapon with generic combat weapon and incinerator silencer side cannon, all that we've talked about before. Their new thing is Purifying Flame, which is anti-infantry 2 up, ignores cover and psychic, range 18, 1 attack, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1.
Yeah. Maybe
How
take
many
Crow,
points are
you
these
get an
guys?
extra shot.
How many points are these guys?
These guys are 150 points for 5 or 300 for 10. They're 30 points a guy.
How is that compared to the regular strike squad? Is that more?
To standard strike squad, yeah, it's about 15 points more for a 5
Why?
man or 30 points more for a 10.
Why?
So it's about a
Why?
guy savings on a larger unit.
Why are these guys more points? Why would I
There's
ever
no
take
reason.
these guys?
For the Purifying Flame, maybe a little bit extra. The big thing is they have to swap out.
Anti-infantry 2-up's great, but they're not joining anything. They're not capturing objectives. They don't have any bonus mobility or durability.
Yeah, I mean, Castellan Crowe, if you put it in there, he can give them an extra shot on it, but it's only infantry 2 up. It's not devastating, so they're not mortals.
Yeah,
That's the problem. If that could become mortals in any way, then we got business. But yeah, they don't give you enough.
and the army already fights infantry just fine.
Yes, infantry is not this army's problem. You can
It
fight infantry.
rolls a reasonable number of dice at low strength. It doesn't need anti-infantry. This is not filling a niche the army needs.
No.
It's a nah for me, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they get 2 per 5 for special weapons, but I mean, just wait till the next episode when we talk about the Purgation Squad, and it's
Who
like,
went
oh
up in
wow,
points.
would you look at that? Yeah,
The other problem is because if you want the extra weapons, the special weapons, which are the same weapons everyone takes, but if you want them, you're swapping out your melee as well. So if you kept both, I think for their points cost, let them take special weapons and keep your Nemesis weapon, your Nemesis force weapon. I think that would absolutely be fine. Crow doesn't really do that much for them. Yeah, he gets them the extra shot, but I can't devastate it at all. They're not a bad option, but it's again that kind of thing of where the points make it too expensive and you're not going to fit enough stuff into your list when you're taking these guys. Because another spot to really get the use of, I don't know if, I mean, a 5-man, sure, but I don't know if that does you quite enough. Do you need the extras? You're spending a lot of points for those.
they're not even battle line.
No, and let's face it, for the number of points you're talking about as well, they're toughness 4. Yeah, they're 2-up save, but they're toughness 4. So you're getting wounded. This is one of the easier things in this army to wound. So normally, if I'm across the board, I might say, okay, you know what? You have this, you got a 2-up save. I'm not going to bother with you. I'm going to go at these guys with 3-up saves. But you know what? I'll wound you easier than most of the other stuff. I'll make you fail saves. I'll make you roll enough. So I'm absolutely going to fire at these guys. You know, you're going to lose these models a little easier than maybe that 2-up save makes it look. Because they're going to be a very prime target for your mid-range or low-level shots.
And it's not worth a trade-off of +1 to hit and maybe +1 to wound.
No.
I don't think it's enough.
No, hitting on the 2s is nice, but I don't think you gain quite enough. And by the time you're below half strength, because it is below, you're looking at, if it's a 5-man squad, you're looking at by the time you have 2 models. That's nothing. Or the time you have like 4 models. That's nothing. You know, you're getting so little out of it. So no, I don't like that. What? Yeah, let them keep their Nemesis weapons and maybe a little bit change in points. I'd be pretty happy.
If they had a better psychic shooting attack.
Yeah.
But it had, hazardous, whatever they want to call it now.
So-
Is it called hazardous?
Hazardous, yes.
Here's
Yeah.
the weird part. I remember talking with Dan, who runs the Grey Knights, and he says Purifiers are one of the stronger armies or one of the stronger units that you
I can see that. I can see why to an extent.
What the strongest unit is.
Yeah.
And we're still like, meh. That's
So I
I
think
don't know. I think with Tyranid Brain, where I'm all about I need to control objectives, this doesn't.
No, compared to some of the other things, I think part of the reason why they're a bit stronger is compared to some of your other baseline stuff, they are cheaper. They're not cheap, but they are cheaper than some of your baseline stuff. And they can take a good amount of special weapons, which you need something. So since you can take some extras, that's good. These guys are probably, units not trying to get anywhere near the combat, realistically. But I don't think it works well.
Damn
You
shame.
can't buff them with characters.
No, just Crow. He's the only one that buffs.
Yeah.
And he, all he does is +1 to that, to the Purifying Flame. I'm not sure if that's worth it, because yes, okay, anti-infantry 2-up is great. A Norse cover, AP -1/1 damage. Like I'm gonna get some damage through with that, but is it worth at that point like 400 points to get 20 of the shots and stuff like that, or all that? Maybe it actually is. Then maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe this unit only really works with Crow. You're getting this extra. Now you're firing twice as many guns, and you are swapping every weapon you can. You're not worried about close combat. I have Nemesis force weapons if you get close. Otherwise, I'm just going to try and shoot you down constantly. Maybe this is what really handles the Horde. Maybe this is the unit we've talked about side cannons so much. Maybe this is the unit you put your silencers on, and their goal is to mow down large squads. Their goal is just, eat through whatever you need. You take your paladins, you take the other things with the heavier weapons to hurt bigger, heavier targets. But I think that's the problem this army has. The heavy targets are an issue for them. Almost everything we looked at so far, other than the Dreadknight, doesn't hurt anything heavy at all. Strength 8 is okay, but if I'm a vehicle, I'm probably toughness 8 or 9 or 10, and you're only like AP -2 on a flat 2. That's not doing it. All right. Do we want to do Servitors and call it there, or end here?
We'll do Servitors. Servitors.
And by we, you mean you.
Am I yeah?
Yes.
The menials, if you will. Servitors. They have a 6-up inroll apparently. I just wanted to.
You
point
got all
that
that
out.
metal. It's very easy just to hit metal.
So movement 6 up is 4, 1 wounds, 4 up save, leadership 8, 0 C. Mind Lock. While the Brotherhood Techmarine model is leading this unit, improve the skill weapon skill characteristic of the range of melee weapons equipped by the Servitors by 1. So you hit better and you shoot better. Retinue. While the Brotherhood Techmarine model is leading the unit, they have Deep Strike and Teleport. Okay, that's interesting. So range weapons, they can take a heavy bolter, multi-bolter, and plasma cannon. I'll go over it quickly because funny enough, we haven't actually gone over these.
No.
Heavy bolters are 3 attacks at everything's hitting on 4s, and all the melee's hitting on 5s. Remember, it could be 3 and 4s if there's a Techmarine there. So anyway, heavy bolter, sustained hits 1, 36 inches, 3 attacks at strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. Multi-melta is 2 attacks, strength 9, AP 4, D6, but it's a melta 2, so it can be D6 plus 2 in melta range within 9. Which fun. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Oh,
What doesn't work?
I'll get to the outcome. Plasma cannons, you could stand it or supercharge it. The main difference, they're both blast. They're both heavy. Obviously, the supercharge is hazardous. They're both D3 shots. One is strength 7, AP 2, 1 damage. One is strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. What doesn't work? Melta. Because you cannot deep strike within 9 inches. You are always 9.01 inches away.
Yes. Yeah. The turn you come in, if you take him and you deep strike, you will not be close.
Now, you could also spend that stratagem.
There you go. That's how you do it if you really want to do it.
Yeah.
And it is up to 2 of them may replace. It's not the whole unit. It's 4 guys. They're 50 points total, and 2 of them can replace it.
They're 50 points. Why?
For 4 of them, yes. But remember,
Why?
your weapons are free right now.
So expensive.
That's cheap for what you can put weapon-wise. 2 multi-melters or 2 plasma cannons. In previous editions, that might have been close to 50 itself. Depending on what you're putting it on.
Mm.
And the other part is just that they do form a retinue for him, and it talks about it's the bodyguard rule and how all that stuff works. I love these guys. Especially in this. We already liked the Techmarine. We liked what he did.
Yep. Yeah.
If you take multi-meltas, then I'm going to use that stratagem, drop them within 3, and multi-melta, that's 4 multi-melta shots on 3s, d6 plus 2 for each of them. This is a way to actually deal with vehicles, which is not something you've been able to do that great against. They're actually cheap, even if you don't put the Techmarine in there. I don't mind it with some plasma cannons for 50 points, 4 plasma cannons sitting in the back. You might have to deal with it because I'll hazardous every single time. Because what do I care if I lose one of these guys? There's 2 of them. All right, there's 2 with these weapons. If I lose them, who cares? I spent almost nothing on them. This is an army where I might be able to find that spare 50, so I absolutely would take these guys. If I had Servitors, I would take 1 to 2 units. I would take 1 for sure with the Techmarine, and I might take another just to sit somewhere and deal with something. You know, pop out some of the fire that you're kind of lacking. Or I'll take 2 multi-meltas on a small squad and walk them up. Destroy my 50 points, or my 50 points is going to start ripping apart your vehicles.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or 4 of them, if you string them out, you could actually use that also to block certain units. You could block a Paladin Squad or something like that. Block them from certain angles. All right, you're going to have to deal with these guys. Or you can't charge my guys you really want to charge. And yeah, I'll Overwatch with you. If I got spare CP, I'll Overwatch. Because if I happen to get that multi-melt and I kill one of your guys, that's great. I'm going to lose them anyway. Their servo arm is hilarious.
I didn't even go over the melee.
Yeah.
1 attack, hits on 5s or 4s. Strength 6, AP 2, 3 damage.
Yes. If they get a special weapon, they go to tools instead of servo arm. But servo arm is really funny. You'll remember the stories. For 50 points, I'm willing to take the chance that I luck out and kill Terminator with a 3 damage attack. You know, like it won't happen much, but for 50 points, I'm willing to take that swing. So Servitors, I really like. I think they're actually a really cool fit, and I think it's a great way to take a Techmarine to buff up some of your Dreadknights or Land Raiders and all of that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. If only we should probably stop there. If only because we were actually really enjoyed something we just read.
Yes, please don't end this on a negative
Leave
note.
on a high note. Goodbye, everyone.
Leave on a high note. Goodbye. Have fun.
All right. Closing thoughts. Obviously, we know the overall closing thought is like stuff's way too expensive. There's problems.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts though, other than like I can't afford all this?
A lot of the models look cool. Question mark.
It's just great guys. They're just gray.
No, I like the
Custodians
design.
Silver.
I like the design. Honestly, the design makes me happy.
All right. So Dan's other thought is nice design. Steve, do you have
Nice
other
design.
thoughts? That's all right. We may not have them yet. It's okay.
They're the original Custodes army. And
That is
now
true.
they have Custodes, they kind of don't have their niche so much anymore.
I think, and this is I mentioned this
It's your fault,
before
Dan.
offhand. I mentioned this
Personally,
before offhandedly, right? I mentioned this is that these guys, and I know you don't want me to compare, but these guys are the weird in between Custodes and Space Marines, which is I'm fine with that. They're not Space Marines because they don't have a 3-up armor.
I'm glad you're personally okay with that.
But they're not Custodes because they don't have an invul. The problem I'm having is that their points don't speak that, right?
Yeah.
I'm spending as many points as a custodian for these squads for what, a redeploy? Okay. But I'm not going to survive because I'm just going to get shot. It's just that's what I'm seeing so far. Maybe it changes when we get to the other units.
It won't.
I don't think it won't. But that's what it is. They're supposed to be the in-between, and they're actually worse than the in-between. There's no, and I like the fact that they teleport. I really do. But GW costed everything with fly very expensively, right? That's why the Custodian's bikes were like 90 points a pop, and they were absolute garbage. It's just they need to look back at this and say, we need to reevaluate some of these points. That's all that has to happen.
Yeah. I do think they need a little more help than that, but I think we'll see that once we get through the rest of it. For the moment, I think there's a few units that are really cool. Like I said, we ended on Servitors. I think they're great. I think most of the units are reasonably good, but the points belie that fact based off of the rules they have. If they were cheaper, that would work. If they don't want to cheapen them up, because maybe this is a spot they want to sit in, and I think that's absolutely fine. If that's the case, then I think there's some other improvements that they could do for them. I think they could easily give a lot of these bigger, heavier Terminator units enough rules or abilities to make them feel like the 300 to 600 point monsters. Or, not that you want it to be as oppressive as like Paladins were in previous editions, but something where when you look at it across the board that you're concerned. The problem is I'm not so concerned. And I want your giant expensive units to worry me, because we want that for both sides. That's a fun game. When I look at it and say, oh, what am I going to do about this? And trying to plan things out, that's when a game becomes interesting. And they don't have that interest right now. It's lacking a lot. All right, well, that will do it for us tonight in terms of all of this. So, as always, we put all this out on podcatchers. We also put plenty of other stuff up on YouTube. For special bespoke YouTube stuff, I did put up the unboxing I did for the Lancer. We are recording, hopefully, 3 games of MCP this week. The week after, 3 games of Conquest. Hopefully recording some other games somewhat soon, too. So we should have some battle reports coming out. I do have a Kill Team 1 that I recorded. Want to do a few more of those. With having to paint MCP the terrain this week, my guess is probably won't get to much else. Like I said, next week, I am out on vacation. You should be hearing this on the week that I'm actually out. So I'm out the week in the 20th, essentially the mid-20s. But that's when you should be hearing this episode drop. So you'll hear that then. The week after, we'll finish these guys up. And hopefully at that point, I'll have some of the battle reports out. As well as that week, we'll probably do at least one live. Maybe where we just do some general discussions / painting as well. Because I got to start working on that Lancer. I want to work on him probably starting the week I get back. I'm not going to really do any work until then. So I got plenty of other stuff to work on. For anything else from us, I don't know if you'll get anything else the week when I'm out. Probably not, but the week after, there should be quite a few things that I'll be able to have processed and ready to go. I just don't think I'll have it on vacation, is my thought. So as always, of course, other things, likes, comments, subscribes, if you're on YouTube, all that stuff helps. Otherwise, reviews, all those things. As always, we have our Patreon, of course. As we get more constant content, I feel better about pushing it. Hopefully we'll have more constant content soon. Or more consistent, at least. I know it's been a little hit and miss. Summer's been absolutely terrible for most of us. So maybe the fall will be better, whenever that technically starts. All right. I think that's it for the moment. And like I said, for whatever faction we do next, I will put a poll up for our patrons so they'll be able to vote on which one that they actually want us to do. Like I said, I'm going to discount if they're the absolute best factions because I don't think that's as interesting. But if that's really what they want, we'll go with it. Otherwise, no, I don't think they will. I would be very surprised if so. But I don't know what other people play. Maybe there's something special that they want to talk about. All right. Other than that, have a good hobbying and some great gaming.